C-341. Vortex 1 stopped its attack upon seeing the huge mining ship flying through space. He's thinking about whether to attack first, me or the mining ship. Taking advantage of that opportunity, I took out the last card I had prepared. It's time to write King of the Monsters. King of Monsters, one of the special states of organic evolution. Using this trait transforms my body into a gigantic creature. After consuming psionium, I became an adult and wrote the King of Monsters. At the time, the symbol of hunting had a cooldown so it could not be used together. In other words, this is the first time that the King of Monsters is used as a symbol of hunting. My body grows with terrifying force in the empty universe. The Ring of Agony, which had once been much larger than me, suddenly became smaller than me. If I compare my current body to Giga Cracker, I think it would be about a third of the size. Of course, growing to such an enormous size came with a price. Due to the enormous amount of energy consumed, I felt energy draining from my body in real time. If it weren't for the dragon's heart, which pumps out as much psychic power as the energy consumed, I wouldn't have been able to last even a few minutes. Currently, my body is maintained in a delicate state of balance. Good. It ends here. A symbol of hunting and the King of Monsters. I wrapped myself in the strongest cards I had and rushed at Vortex 1. Open corner bracket dash close corner bracket. Vortex 1 applauds as he sees me rushing in at an overwhelming size. The force that manipulates gravity grabbed and twisted my body. The carapace crumbled, and pipes all over the body were broken. The arms and legs were twisted in bizarre directions and the bones were shattered. Open corner bracket dash close corner bracket. Open corner bracket dash close corner bracket. The cycle of agony didn't stop there, but they clapped twice in a row. The left head and right tail make an eerie sound as they are crushed by an intangible force. You can still do it. I moved forward without stopping. Just as the guy was about to clap again, Adai, who had taken a detour to the other side, pierced him. The force that was weighing down my body disappeared, and instead, energy bullets composed of the power of the abyss were fired from the numerous hands on the surface of the ring. In the pouring black meteor shower, the red afterimage left behind by Adai glows faintly. The guy skillfully avoided the barrage of energy bullets, which had almost no gaps. It was the same in Burzin 02, but his flying skills have now reached the peak. Even dogfighting with rankers from Megacorp and Star Union was not difficult. Perhaps because he judged that the Ring of Anguish could not be captured with energy bullets, he changed his posture. I'm trying to crush him with my gravity manipulation abilities. At that time, number 26, who was riding on Adai's back, came out. A purple stream flowed from the end of the pink tentacle and wrapped around him and Adai like a skein of thread. The sight of them being protected by a sphere made up of a vivid purple mandala reminded me of the protective shield Cynthia used to protect herself in the past. Open corner bracket dash close corner bracket. Soon, an intangible power descended on the protective shield created by No. 26. Even if they were Vortex 1, the shield could not be easily broken, so the two were holding on well. Taking advantage of that opportunity, I approached the enemy. Before the guy clapped once more, I slammed into him with all my strength. The guy's posture collapsed because he collided with me, who was bigger than him. Open corner bracket. Dash close corner bracket. Open corner bracket dash close corner bracket. Open corner bracket dash close corner bracket. Open corner bracket dash close corner bracket. The posture of the arms changed 3 times in succession. Energy bullets, gravity manipulation, and anti-elasticity blasted at me in quick succession. Mind-numbing pain shakes my head, and I keep getting messages telling me that pain relief has been activated. I was barely able to survive thanks to a morph's unique strong vitality and the strengthening effects of various characteristics. You can't be pushed out of here. Withstanding the barrage of attacks, it wrapped around Vortex 1 with its elongated neck and back tentacles. Now that I was bigger than him, wrapping around an enemy with a thin body wasn't a problem. Open corner bracket. Dash close corner bracket. Where are you going? It tried to run away by splitting its body, but this was also expected. When its body was about to split, its tentacles grabbed the parts where the core was hidden and prevented it from escaping. Open corner bracket. Close corner bracket. When I didn't give up, it tried to change its body shape into a new shape. The intention is probably to maximize the destructive power by twisting the body once more in the half remaining figure 8 shape. It's not a bad decision. It would have been a good decision if he had changed his form about 5 minutes ago instead of now. A place quite far away from the space where he and I are floating. Energy gathers at the center of a huge structure resembling a flower in full bloom. Heavenly Mother and the MPS series decided to operate the ion cannon on behalf of PS-111, who was busy with Isabel. While I was using the King of Monsters to get his attention, Gigacracker's ion cannon was ready to go. Open corner bracket dash close corner bracket. He realized that too and quickly tried to throw me off. I relaxed my neck and tentacles just in time for the creature's anti-elasticity to erupt. My body, with no intact parts, be it wings or limbs, was thrown out of the thing. Now, at the same time, the ion cannon was fired. The heat ray, which can split an asteroid in one blow, quickly approaches me in it. Its arms tried to distort gravity and change the direction of the heat rays, but it was already too late. Because the turquoise death burned my whole body. All the arms on the surface of the ring burned away, and the body supported by the power of the abyss collapsed like a sand castle. The heat ray that dealt a fatal blow to Vortex 1 flew far past its original target and all the way to Burzin 02 behind it. Gigacracker is one of the super weapons, but its essence is a mining ship. It is impossible to destroy a planet as large as Burzin 02. However, that doesn't mean it can't cause any damage. At least it's enough to clean up the civilizations built on the planet. As the ion cannon's supermassive beam hits, the red planet's clouds disperse. Crustal debris and sand generated by the explosion rose into the atmosphere at the point where the heat ray hit and then fell to the ground. Of course, there will be no trace of the city hit by the heat ray, and cities far away will also be swept away by the falling debris. Now the red jewel of the cult empire no longer exists. All that remains is a barren star covered in sand. After the heat ray was fired, Gigacracker returned to its spherical form. Open corner bracket close corner bracket. The condition of Vortex 1, which had been hit directly by the ion cannon, was not good. There were many cracks on the torso, and there were almost no arms left. Black liquid continued to flow out into space from the cracked area. That's a sign that he's reached a point where he can no longer maintain his body. I flew towards him with my completely battered body. I tried to resist the ring of agony by moving my arms, but it was just a meaningless hand gesture. I wrapped him around the neck right and center. I held onto him tightly and bit his body with my double jaw. If your arm was struggling, it would grab it and rip it off, and if you twisted your body to escape, it would entangle you tightly with its tentacles. Like a snake coiling around its prey, it slowly devoured it. And soon, a visual core, reached the tip of my snout. This is the end. Without hesitation, I swallowed the core whole. Predation effect activated. A space demon incompletely summoned in Burzin 02. The message announcing Vortex 1's death was not much different from any other message. Please do it. Please do it. Please. Alshaz struggled to contact his colleagues. Her airship was completely damaged when she got caught up in the fight between Vortex 1 and Imorph. The rocket thrusters located at the rear of the airship were damaged, making it impossible to even land on a very nearby planet. That was unfortunate enough, but something even more terrible happened. The communication stone, which was a tool for her to communicate with her fellow returnees, was broken by impact. This can't be happening. Why should I have to go through this? Alshaz felt like he was going crazy as he was faced with a series of unbearable misfortunes. Doesn't it seem as if the entire universe was determined to torment her? I already know that I am not a good person. On the other hand, is he a wicked person who deserves to suffer such misery? She thought no. Most people live like her, exploiting others to a moderate degree. If she is a sinner, then everyone in this world, or even the real world, is a sinner. In addition, the returning party, the faction to which Alshaz belongs, moves to help everyone. If their great plan succeeds, everyone can be saved. Although she does not completely agree with its noble meaning, she feels that it is necessary. That's why I dedicated myself to the cause. Just contact us. As soon as I get in touch, he'll come save me. Alshaz tried his best to fix the monument. His fingers were covered in blood from being pricked by wires or metal fragments, but he didn't care. It looked more like an ugly monster than a beautiful cult. In fact, her fate was already decided from the moment Outspacer retreated. But she couldn't admit it. Because she has always been an important person, whether in reality or in this world. Although she could use others like tools, she never imagined that others would abandon her. Just a little more. As I was trying to connect the wire to the tombstone, the ship trembled violently. She froze in shock, as if something had collided outside the airship. Bah! What just happened? She hurriedly turned her gaze to the windshield. Until a moment ago, I could see white grains the size of millet stuck together on a black background. But now, what was reflected in the glass was complete darkness. Would you rather jump out of space? If you protect yourself with a psychic shield and move your body with levitation skills, you may be able to escape somehow. It wasn't an absurd method at all since she had a superior psychic power output than anyone else. The problem was oxygen. Even if you escape after wearing a mask and protective clothing, you would need a large amount of oxygen to travel to another planet or ship. Otherwise, you will most likely die from oxygen running out before your psychic power. I don't want to die. Her selfish personality, which had been inherited from the real world, had a negative impact on her judgment. I only thought about what would be advantageous for survival, but it did not lead to action. And time did not wait any longer for her indecisiveness. Heek. The hull shook greatly. Surprised, Alshaz dropped the tombstone he was holding. Previously, it ended with a shake-up, but not this time. With a sharp noise, a part of the airship's inner wall began to cave. Oh, no. The wall is torn apart like an aluminum can being crushed. If it were outer space, the air would have escaped due to the pressure difference, but that did not happen. What lay beyond the torn wall was not space, but a dark hangar. Only then did she realize what had hit, or rather caught, the airship. The cult's uniquely slender body began to tremble like an aspen tree. The head of it, which surrounded the entire airship, came down. It would be nice to eat it right away, but we'll have to wait our turn. When Alseth saw Amov's white eyes, he wanted to faint. Of course, fainting won't change anything. From now on, it's Amov's time. A word from the author's review, Organic Evolution. It is not the strong who survive, but the survivors who become strong. You can transform into one of several special states. King of Monsters. Grows and strengthens his body into a super-sized creature. The space required to use the feature is at least 100 meters radius. Because it is a special state that consumes a huge amount of energy, the state is cancelled when all energy is used up. The maximum duration is 10 minutes and the cooldown is 30 days. Omitted. Cancellation and changes cannot be made during transformation. Special states share a cooldown. Afterwards, new special states can be acquired depending on the acquired characteristics. C342. OMG. Alshaz opened his eyes. The first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was the white ceiling. The design had marble blocks arranged neatly, creating a luxurious atmosphere. But I couldn't feel its beauty at all because of the terrible stench coming from somewhere. Where are you? White ceiling and terrible smell. I had no idea where I was. I tried to turn my head to check my surroundings, but my body didn't move. I had no feeling in my whole body and could barely blink my eyes. Now that I think about it, back then, she recalled what happened before she lost consciousness. When she encountered Imorph, she immediately used simulacrum, without any hesitation. The intention was to run away while buying time with the clone. It wasn't a bad idea, and the result was pretty good. While he was tearing the clone to death, she was able to safely climb out of the airship. I ran toward the door of the hangar, leaving behind the clones that were shrinking in real time. But along the way, something unknown pricked the back of her neck. By the time I felt the sting, I had already fallen to the floor. My current physical condition was like that, and I felt like I had been poisoned with paralyzing poison. He must have moved her collapsed body to this room. You need to recover quickly. I don't know why he was kept alive, but he is the infamous Imorph. If I don't quickly regain my senses, I don't know what will happen. Are you awake? Then she heard a woman's voice in her ears. It was a familiar yet strangely different voice. Who is it? I am PS-111. He serves the main controller, C-Demon, and the sub-controller, Imorph. Amorph. Wait, how did you know what I was thinking? Imov spoke. The subject had the ability to create clones using his voice. So I made it so I couldn't speak. What? But don't worry. I can confirm all the thoughts of the test subject. The condition for activating the simulacrum is to bleed from your hand and then shout a command into the blood. Looking at the unidentified voice speaking, it seemed like they didn't even know that blood was needed. However, if she thought about it in her head, the other person would notice, so she quickly thought of something else. Where is this place? This is the Giga Cracker, built by Megacorp Noble Capital Street. I am managing it under the command of the sub-controller. Giga Cracker. Yes. Please note that this is a remodeling factory. It was created by consolidating unnecessary facilities. If what he says is true, escaping will be very difficult. There is no way that Imorph, who has obtained a super weapon, will be lax in managing it. The good news is that the owner of the familiar voice answers the questions she asks. If you lure him out well, you might be able to get out of here safely. PS 111. Can you help me? I am a person without any sin. Having to fight with him and I'm off is not what I wanted. It was planned by those above me. As that's so. Yes. You can read what I'm thinking, so you know what I'm saying is true, right? She is adept at deceiving others, whether in reality or in this world. Managing your thoughts is very easy. It cannot be confirmed as false based on the body's reaction. The other person was silent for a moment and then affirmed. She gained confidence and got straight to the point. You don't need to help me with much. Just one thing. Please tell me where the hangar is. I'll take care of the rest. The hangar is at the end of corridor 51. Thank you. What a kind person you are. Thank you for the compliment. Once you know where the hangar is, the rest is easy. Once your paralyzed body is relieved, you can overpower your opponent and run right away. As she was trying to hide her joy at finding hope, the other person's voice continued. But even if I know the location, I can't go there. Yes. This is because the subject's body is not suitable for movement. For someone telling us not to run away, the content was strange. If the captor tries to escape, they usually threaten to kill him or tell him not to go because it is dangerous. It is rare to be told not to go because it is not suitable for transportation. Moreover, he has been calling her a test subject since a while ago. Now that I think about it, in the current state, it is impossible for the test subject to check the body on its own. I will help you. As soon as the other person finished speaking, I heard the sound of friction between metal and my vision shifted. The bed she was lying on was raised like a chair. Thanks to this, she clearly knew where she was. I wonder where the bad smell that has been bothering me ever since came from. The only thing in the space surrounding her that could be described as clean was the ceiling. The walls had exposed steel frames and wires, like a building with little interior work, and the floor was littered with large and small machines and equipment connected to cables. The machines were filled with corpses of cult members and unidentifiable chunks of black meat. There was a lot of red blood and black liquid underneath. What is this? To create a new body for little brother, a significant amount of organic matter is needed, but Gigacracker does not have cultivation facilities. Those are organic substances supplied by a morph. The other person spoke as if to answer her question. But when it came time to transplant your brother's brain, fresh organic matter was not available. There were frozen test subjects, but that wasn't enough. Next, the owner of the voice appeared. Single quote exclamation mark single quote. Above the bloody slaughterhouse stood a spider with several metal legs on the head of a human woman. It was holding something dearly with its skeletal legs. So, I reused the organic matter that makes up my body to create a temporary body capable of minimal life activities. The monster that introduced itself as PS-111 was holding another monster. A face that is a mixture of human, cold blood, and mechanical parts, and even an elongated torso made by splicing together body parts of cult members underneath. If the being talking to her was a spider with a human head, then that monster was closer to a centipede with an intelligent body grafted onto it at random. A monster made by knitting together intelligent beings. No way. Only then did she realize what the being was talking to her. Chimera, a mixture of living things and machines, is the only one in space survival. The Star Union's cursed biological weapon, Screamer. There is an error in my thinking, so I am correcting it. My brother is not a monster. We have obtained all the necessary materials, so it will be completed with an excellent and efficient body. After saying that, PS-111 pulled out a hand mirror from the blood-soaked clothes. And Alcius's appearance was reflected in the mirror. The test subject's arms, legs, and various organs were used to manufacture and experiment with my brother's body. When she saw her reflection in the mirror, she felt her blood run cold. There is a cult with only the head and body remaining on a chair-shaped bed. Arms and legs, alluring silver hair, all gone. Not only that, there were cables and wires stuck to his head, and a thick oxygen tube stuck to his neck. The cult member who was in such a miserable state was none other than Alcius himself. Amov said that as long as you don't die, it's okay if only the head remains, so do whatever you want with the rest. Wait a minute. Currently, the arms are used to complement this area, and the legs are used to complement this area here. Since the compatibility is excellent, we will remove the organ parts next. PS-111 kindly explained, pointing to this and that part of the terrible monster's body with his sharp claws. Seeing that, she immediately understood what he was trying to do. That monster was going to use her as material for that screamer. See, I hate it. I don't want to be like a screamer. Only the body will be used by me, and the brain and head will be consumed by a morph, so there is no need to worry. If that's the case, kill me. I don't want to live as a slave forever. Alshaz begged with tears and snot running down his face. PS-111 carefully laid down the upper body of the artificial life form he had created and approached her. Then he bent down and brought his pale metal-covered face close to hers. Imov spoke. The reason your brother's body is collapsing due to an unidentified virus is because of the experiment subject. No, you. Is it because of me? What on earth have I done? Alshaz didn't know who said the monster was his younger brother. I felt unfair because I didn't know why I had to suffer like this. But PS-111 had no intention of explaining this in detail. The monster put down the mirror and raised its claws. You don't need to know. The explanation ends here and we move on to the next step. All right, next step. Hee. Thanks to the neurotoxin I injected, there will be no pain. Even as his body was disintegrating alive, Alshaz's eyes continued to waver. It was only the eyes of PS-111, the red camera lens, that watched her silent screams. Dash. Open corner bracket fluffy and delicious. Open corner bracket taste, open corner bracket unique, open corner bracket first time, open corner bracket eat it. Open corner bracket I never imagined that Vortex 1 would taste like this. Above the hangar, 3 monsters are eating while chatting. In front of them was the enormous corpse of Vortex 1. Open corner bracket it would be good for older children to eat too. Open corner bracket agree, open corner bracket older adults, open corner bracket food, open corner bracket I like it. Open corner bracket I'm tired, so it's better to let it rest now. The golden-furred griffin turned his head to appease the other 2 monsters. Where their amber eyes were directed, a beast as large as the corpse in front of them lay prone. A space monster that won against Ring of Agony, one of the demons of the universe. Imorph, loved by the sea demon and Red Galagon, was currently in a deep sleep. It was hard. Even though he was covered in wounds from a series of battles with powerful enemies, he couldn't rest right away. Because there was still some urgent work left for him to help with. In Burzin 02, he sent PS-111 to Gigacracker first to save Isabel, the 22nd ranker. Then, she was sent to use Gigacracker as the Joker. Thanks to a morph, she returned to Gigacracker and checked PS-111 and Isabel's situation. And I realized that Imov's predictions were very wrong. I never thought we'd run out of organic matter. Because Gigacracker was not a research ship, there were no separate cell culture facilities on board. Still, the reason Imov wasn't particularly worried was because the bodies of No. 26, Adai, and the crew members she hunted were quite stored. However, PS-111 said that a human corpse alone could not create a suitable body for Isabel. Mutant Screamer can operate without problems if several genes are mixed and made to complement each other. Come to think of it, I've heard it from Imov before. It seems like the rankers who created the Mutant Screamer also went through a lot of trial and error. Because of this, when she arrived at Gigacracker, PS-111 had already removed her body and used it to create Isabel's body. Thanks to his sacrifice, Isabel was able to overcome a great crisis. I don't know if it's right to say that we've passed the turning point. Isabel's former body completely collapsed as a result of summoning Vortex 1. All that PS-111 saved was his twin brother's brain, eyes, and a very few other organs. Of course, thanks to his quick response, he was able to protect at least those parts. First of all, he says that since he has somehow prevented brain damage, there will be no problems with his intelligence even if he is resurrected in a new body. Actually, that part was the problem. Even if she were to be resurrected in a new body in that state, the question is whether she should be considered Isabel or not, whether she would be able to adapt well in the new body. If you're not careful, you might end up blaming PS-111 for resurrecting you as a monster. Still, only by living can you hate someone and resolve that hatred. It would be a waste to send it away like this. Having worked hard for her sister, she deserves to enjoy happiness with her family. In any case, a large number of corpses had to be rescued quickly, so she relayed this information to Imov as soon as the Ring of Anguish died. He also recognized that the situation was urgent and moved immediately. Still, I never thought you'd ask me to use Vortex 1's corpse. As soon as he heard her words, he removed parts of Vortex 1's body and moved them to the hangar. The reason was that having Vortex 1's body would help create Isabel's new body. Besides, he said I would need it too. As Imov said, among Wolf's exclusive equipment, there is an item that requires Vortex 1's body as a material. If you obtain that equipment, you can obtain a similar effect as raising the deification level by half. I heard he secretly cares about me. They say it's insurance, but both he and she know that they don't actually think of it that way. Well, the fact that they brought in so many cult corpses was a bit disappointing. The next thing he brought after Vortex 1's body was the corpse of a cult member from the surveillance office. In the aftermath of the fight between Imorph and the Ring of Agony, there were massive casualties within the observatory. It came with intact arms and tentacles full of corpses and poured them into the hangar. Most of them were cults, but there were quite a few slaves, so PS-111 was satisfied. Immediately after retrieving a bunch of corpses, he returned to his original form. Since the strengthening effect was over, I thought I would collapse right away like before, but surprisingly, I endured it. This is because Alshas still remained. Using Imorph's unique extra senses, he found the airship that was wandering around the observatory and brought it back. Alshas, who was inside, tried to escape somehow, but failed. If I had decided to fight, it would have been quite annoying. The panicked guy was beaten by PS-111 who came to get the body. Imov left Alshas's treatment to PS-111 and immediately fell asleep. Since he fell asleep, she took care of the rest. 40 cold-blood slaves saved by Isabel and MPS-05. The airship they were on was wandering in the orbit of Burzin 02, so they had to be brought in. Since it wasn't a particularly difficult task, it was over quickly, and the cold-bloods are currently resting in the cabin used by the Gigacracker crew. After everything was over, they left the Auer system. Gigacracker, which traveled at faster than light speeds, is currently wandering in an unclaimed star system. Then we should think about the treatment of slaves. The battle is over, but there is still a lot of work to be done. She glanced at Imov, who was sleeping as if dead. You can think about it later. We can discuss the rest together when he wakes up. Discuss with Imov. If it were a game, you'd think I was crazy. Open corner bracket ugly friend, open corner bracket big adult, open corner bracket y, open corner bracket are you looking at me? Open corner bracket huh, open corner bracket from before, open corner bracket continued, open corner bracket did you see? Open corner bracket huh, that's. The unexpected question brought a feeling of confusion into her thoughts. Open corner bracket ugly friend, open corner bracket big adult, open corner bracket do you care? Open corner bracket care. Nonsense. Why do you care about me? As the middle child worried about the older one. Do you care? No. Not at all. Really. Open corner bracket emotions, open corner bracket suspicious, open corner bracket suspicious. The guys, who usually bickered over trivial things, somehow got along well. Open corner bracket oh, that's not it. Actually, I think the big baby is hungry. Single quote. I shot it with random thoughts, and surprisingly, it worked. Open corner bracket cut the delicious fluffy pieces and give them to you. Open corner bracket agree, open corner bracket eat, open corner bracket strength, open corner bracket become strong. The two monsters stopped questioning her and prepared to feed Imorph some Vortex 1 meat. Phew. Seeing that, she sighed softly and took a bite of Vortex 1's flesh. The taste of meat that the amber-eyed griffin felt was a rich chocolate taste. C343. The first thing I felt when I woke up was sweetness. The taste of chocolate so rich that it made my jaw ache filled my mouth. Open corner bracket there are still left, so eat a lot. Open corner bracket grr. Open corner bracket big adult, open corner bracket young compatriot, open corner bracket similar. Open corner bracket grr. Open corner bracket praise. The next thing I noticed after the tongue-melting sweetness was that the heads on either side of me were moving. I slowly opened my eyes. Open corner bracket big adult, open corner bracket I'm awake. Open corner bracket big baby also eat this. As soon as I opened my eyes, a lump of black flesh was pushed into my mouth. It was a piece of Vortex 1's flesh that I brought with me before going to sleep. Number 26 and Adai were diligently pushing food into my sleeping mouth. Seeing that there were almost no Vortex 1 corpses left piled up in the hangar, it seemed like they kept adding them to me even when I was asleep. It reminds me of the old days. Even when I fainted after shooting down the Imperial carrier, they fed me this way. They are the same guys then and now. I guess I should just accept what is given to me. When I was fighting it, I had already bitten it several times and even swallowed the core myself. However, at the time, I was so busy fighting that it was difficult to fully enjoy the taste. I leisurely chewed the ring of agony meat the kids gave me. As expected, it's okay. The shell is hard, but the flesh inside is softer than jelly, so the texture of each is very different. If the outside feels like chewing hardened chocolate, the inside is closer to a chocolate fudge cake. The taste is sweet but also has a deep flavor, so you won't get tired of it even if you eat a lot. Both heads deserve it. The heads on the left and right ate meat among themselves even before I got up. Even when I looked at them, the two heads paid no heed and ate the food given to them by number 26 and a die. Thanks to these guys, I was supplied with enough energy. The injuries sustained during the battle have almost completely recovered, leaving only a few scars. Zuzu, what about the other kids? Open corner bracket. I'm staying with my friend's family because they're sick. My friend's family must be very sick. Ugly friend. Scale dwarf. Together, stay. It appears that PS111 has not finished tuning into Isabel. It's been a day since I fell asleep, but it's taking longer than expected. It seems like it's more difficult than making your own body. Although the PS111 created the MPS series, it was just a terminal without any unique thinking ability. Since this is the first time creating a screamer with an independent identity, it seems to be difficult. I handed over Alsh's just in case. Before going to sleep, I entrusted him with the care of Alsh's. He told me that I could do whatever I wanted as long as I didn't touch his head and kept him alive somehow. The body of a rancor was used in the PS111 model, the Mutant Screamer. To be exact, a clone of 18th Rancor Penelope was the material for the Mutant Screamer. Those who designed it are in a position to save as many cold bloods as possible. However, there must be a reason for duplicating the Rancor. I don't think he understood. By his standards, there is no difference between a regular cult and Alsh's. Also, I don't know much about the existence of Rancors. However, since he was a guy who was trying his best to understand what I was saying, he calmly accepted Alsh's. He would be able to put the Rancor's body to good use. I plan to start interrogating him when his utility value drops. There's nothing to do right now, so I'll have to wait. There are quite a few newly acquired characteristics, so I'll check them out during my break. I opened a translucent text box while chewing the meat that number 26 and odd eye handed me. Open corner bracket. Multidimensional organisms. Bioplasma synthesis, new. Hive consciousness terminal, new. Multidimensional organism related fusion characteristics. Deep space plague, new. Incomplete characteristics, 8. Gills, giant creature. Natural healing. Radio interference. Saw blade tentacle. Mimicry. Catfish house. Demon machine, new. Open corner bracket. Some of the evolution conditions for SL8, greater than, ascension, have been met. Essence of spirit. Vortex 1, 0.5 not achieved. Open corner bracket. Transcendence. Material list, new. Demon machine, Tyrantroid, unconfirmed, unconfirmed, unconfirmed. In addition to this, several other characteristics have been acquired, but the most important ones are unlocking new type information and unlocking new unique characteristic synthesis formulas. The characteristics of the multidimensional creature series can mainly be obtained when preying on outspacers and Vortex 1s. The number of characteristics required to acquire the type is 4. If you get just one more, the type will be in your hands. It would have been better if I had gotten it earlier. I'm a little disappointed with the timing of acquiring the trait. Actually, all three are good characteristics, but it is difficult to see them as being very useful at this point. Bioplasma synthesis is a characteristic that absorbs external energy such as plasma or psychic power and converts it into bioenergy. It is one of the means to help outspacers who participate in battles fight for a long time. If it has this trait, it can absorb and use the energy flowing from the ship's nuclear reactor. It's not a bad trait, but I have Dragon's Heart, which is upwardly compatible. Since there are organs that pump energy on their own, the need for them is reduced. Deep Space Plague. This is good too. But, Deep Space Plague, obtained using space bacteria, an infection-related trait, is a trait that applies a random debuff to those who come into contact with it. Because the virus is constantly mutating to adapt to the universe, the debuff effects keep changing. Because the nature of the virus continues to change, treatment is difficult. So, once I got this trait, I would run straight to the enemy planet's water source. If I had acquired this trait before going to Burzin 02, it would have been quite useful. Now that the attack is over and we have left the planet, can we say that the light has faded? If you ever need to attack a megacorp or cult planet, you can have some fun with this trait. Next is the Hive Consciousness Terminal. Contrary to its grandiose name, it is a passive secondary trait. The effect is to help read conversations between outspacers. They communicate using unique bioelectrical signals, so without this feature or special tools, it is impossible to understand what they are saying. It's an essential trait if you're going to fight an outspacer. There's a good chance you'll run into them again, so it'll be well worth it if you keep it. All three are useful, but have limited uses. Of course, it's better than nothing. Actually, it's a shame I couldn't eat this devil machine rather than these. I liked the predation effect when I caught the Ring of Agony, but unfortunately the result was only half decent. Perhaps because it is not a complete summoner, the demon machine is displayed as an incomplete trait, as when a genetic sample was ingested. Demon machine is an attribute that allows the use of Vortex 1's unique ability, Power of the Abyss, related technology. Only by obtaining this characteristic can you eat other Vortex 1s and then use their characteristics. Just as other intelligent beings, excluding cults, can only use psychic power if they possess a superpower organ, using the power of Vortex 1 requires the characteristic of being a demonic machine. For example, with the Ring of Anguish, you can only use it by possessing a demon machine and feasting on it to gain the ability to manipulate gravity or fire the power of the Abyss's characteristics. Otherwise, even if you obtain the characteristic, you cannot use it. It doesn't look that good up to this point, but among other races, there is no one other than Coldblood that can use Vortex 1's abilities. In addition, a morph can be used without cost as long as you acquire the characteristics, so it is much more advantageous from a long-term perspective. Of course, the probability of obtaining Vortex 1's characteristics is extremely low, but I have a symbol of hunting. If you get the demon machine and catch other Vortex 1s, getting the trait won't be difficult at all. Tisk. It would have been nice to get a demon machine here. It's such a waste, but there's nothing we can do. Anyway, I plan on fighting Vortex 1 again. Because the evolution condition is 0.5, it remains in a strange state of not being achieved. To turn this into an achievement, you must capture and kill the complete Vortex 1. I've never fought in an incomplete state, so exceptional cases just pop out. The last thing left is the part about new unique characteristics. A new unique attribute combination formula was opened as Demon Machine was the key attribute. The Tyrantroid already exists, and the Demon Machine is only half acquired due to incomplete characteristics. Of the remaining ingredients, 3 are marked as unidentified. I think I know roughly what goes into it. What Tyrantroids and demonic machines have in common is that they are normal characteristics obtained from apex creatures. The remaining 3 characteristics are also likely to be general characteristics obtained from apex. It's not a regular apex either, but a top apex. It didn't open when I got the Tyrantroid, but it opened after I got the demon machine. If you kill apex at the top, more information may be released. It's the only characteristic combined with apex characteristics. So far, the unique characteristics created using the Transcendence system have been influenced to some extent by the material. I can't imagine how powerful the result of Apex's characteristics will be. If I get information from Isabel and Alshaz, I will consider targeting Apex as my next target. For a moment, as I thought about Apex, my mind suddenly wandered to the little monsters in front of me. You both probably ate Vortex 1, right? Number 26 and Oddeye eagerly put food into my mouth. They must have also consumed the Ring of Anguish, so wouldn't something have changed? I closed the text box and asked the kids. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, is it okay if you guys don't eat? I ate a lot. Food. Too much. There's a lot. I'm full. Looking at it now, it certainly looks like Oddeye ate more than usual. This is because the guy who used to boast a slim body has a belly that looks like a tail. As usual with number 26, there was no change in appearance. It looks the same, but in the game, it is almost impossible for sea demons and Galagons to eat Vortex 1. Because the environments they live in are different in the first place, they never encounter each other. The only exceptions are when events coincidentally overlap and Red Galagon and Vortex 1 appear at the same time, and when Coldblood summons Vortex 1 during the Sea Demon and Galagon raids. Even if there is a low probability of an encounter, it is Vortex 1 who usually wins. I've only seen one instance where a fully powered Red Galagon fought a Vortex 1, and that time it was a draw. In other words, number 26 and Oddeye are the first Sea Demons and Galagons to catch and kill a cosmic demon and eat its meat. Zuzu, has anything changed in either of you? There is no change in appearance, but you never know. When I asked for details, number 26 and Oddeye responded as if they had been waiting. Me. Something has changed in me. Me too. Zuzu's, something has changed. Yes. I'll show. After saying that, Number 26 bounced and walked away from me. As the distance increased, its body began to grow. Battle mode. When it enters battle, it turns into a giant pink jellyfish with numerous eyes all over its body. But what he looked like now was different from what I knew. The body changed from an inflated balloon to a hemispherical body lying on top of a ring, with long fins and tentacles extending from the center of the ring. The fins were the same, but the appearance of the tentacles was quite different from before. Small tentacles stretched out like branches at the end, resembling human arms. Moreover, the change was not only in appearance. You're flying. The guy who changed into a new form was floating in the air. Seeing that I couldn't feel any psychic power, it seemed like he was floating by a principle I couldn't understand. It's like a ring of agony. A word from the author, author's review, species. Unidentified hostile space creature. Status. Adult Transcendence Level 2. Goal. Survive, successfully evolved 4 times. Possessed characteristics 12 body series, 6 psychic series, 5 infection series, 9 special defense series, 8 nest series, 7 internal organ series, 3 environmental adaptation series, 3 multidimensional organism series, space monster series, 8. 1 flesh related type in effect claws, 3 heads, teeth grip strength, chitinous shell, wings inactive new, beasts. Claws new. Flesh related fusion characteristics. Regenerative power, mimicry organ, bone beast, monsters reinforced wings, human insect host, harvester's maw. 2 superpower related type being applied, humanity, dragon's heart only clairvoyance. Superpower related fusion traits. Predator sense, monster's tentacle, dark veil. 3 infection related type in effect, contaminated blood. Infection related fusion characteristics. Parasitic colony, gremlin moss, acidic fungal gland, corrupt fungal organ. 4 special defense related. Pain reduction, resistance, disease resistance, full immunity, mental defense, stealth mobility, gamma ray resistance. Special defense fusion characteristics. Protective color, refracting carapace. 5 nest related type in effect, expansion enhancement, smog tower, master of the environment, swamp creation, unclean mixture, miasma enhancement new. Nest related fusion characteristics. Symbiotic spores, ghost nest. 6 internal organ related types being applied, enhanced endoskeleton, improved salivary glands, strengthened toxic substance secretion glands, strengthened digestive juice secretion new. Fusion characteristics related to internal organs. Revenant organ, berserker synapse, ultra jelly. 7 environmental adaptation related type applied, inorganic digestion, medusa organ unique, tyrantroid. 8 multidimensional organism. Bioplasma synthesis new. Hive consciousness terminal new. Multidimensional organism related fusion characteristics. Deep space plague new. 9 space monster unique, perfect organism, nightmare horizon, organic evolution, great infector, herald of chaos, complex spectral body, variable bioweapon, black devourer cannon. Mark of a powerful enemy. Marauders irregular polyhedron, dice of the void, color of the abyss, shape ruler, starlight coordinate. Possession type, 6. Body enhancement type. Superpower enhancement type. Infection enhancement type. Nest enhancement type. Internal organ enhancement type. Environmental adaptation enhancement type. Specialization possible type, 1. Special defense enhancement type, 9/16, multidimensional creature enhancement type, 3/4. Space monster, unique, type stage. Stage 2, number of characteristics required to achieve stage 3 and 8/12, reward. Essence rearrangement, double helix monolith. Incomplete characteristics, 7. Gills, giant creature, natural healing, radio interference, saw blade tentacle, mimicry, catfish house, demon machine, new. Incomplete strong enemy token, 0. Target of acquisition, none. Available system. Unique characteristic synthesis, characteristic strengthening. Evolution conditions. Open corner bracket. Adult. 2. Ascension. Essence of body. Choose one of Megacorp CEO, Wolf incarnation, not achieved. Essence of spirit. Vortex 1, 0.5, not achieved. Essence of wildness. Choose one of Imorph adult outspacer high king, not achieved. Test of ascension, not achieved. Unique attribute possessed 10/15, not achieved. Type possessed 6/9, not achieved, not achieved. C344. Open corner bracket icon fluffy 2. Open corner bracket slow, open corner bracket me, open corner bracket much, open corner bracket fast. Open corner bracket if I study, I too will become fluffy quickly. No 26's acquisition of the ability to fly was a completely unexpected change. It swam smoothly as if the hangar was an ocean. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? Zuzuzuzu, amazing. As I admired him, his body lit up as if he was in a good mood. The arm-shaped tentacles frequently changed shape depending on the owner's mood. It becomes the shape of a hand, then into the saw blade tentacles it was before, and so on. Each tentacle transformed at a very fast rate. That seems like a new ability. Originally, there were tentacles responsible for mutation, but not all tentacles could be changed like now. The speed of transformation also increased dramatically, to the point where the shape could change rapidly according to the flow of emotions. The ability to transform and fly all tentacles. At first glance, it may not seem very helpful, but in fact, it is not. Number 26 is the least mobile among us, but that weakness has been compensated for. The ability to change the shape of the tentacles also has potential. Open corner bracket me too. Me too, open corner bracket I'll show you. Yes. When I nodded, it spread its wings. Oddeye takes flight with his chubby body. It was quite cute, but the guy's attitude was so serious that I didn't laugh. Open. Yes. Number 26, who was leisurely floating inside the hangar, lightly touched the switch next to the door. Oddeye nodded at me and walked out of the gigacracker. What are you trying to show me? Has this guy's flight ability been enhanced, similar to No. 26? Or have I gained a new kind of power? I followed him out into space. A pantheon of stars spread out like a vast ocean. In the center, a rose-colored nebula burns like a bonfire. Under the stars, Oddeye stood on a gigacracker. Open corner bracket star power, open corner bracket I got it. Zuzu, really? Open corner bracket previous, open corner bracket cannot be used, open corner bracket but open corner bracket now, open corner bracket it is possible, open corner bracket I'll show you. The guy who said that concentrated with his wings spread. The white scales with red patterns turned red like when using red armor. Has the red armor range increased? Huh. The red color of the wings and patterns gradually changes. The light, a mixture of red and purple, reminded me of the color of the nebula observing us from afar. Dark purple light, and I have felt this flow of energy before, making my auxiliary organs and my whole body tense. Odd Grad, an evil tyrant who oppressed Oddeye's compatriots in the past and was Oddeye's father. It was very similar to the last attack he made before he died. Star Flame. Oddeye lifted his head upward as if to confirm that my prediction was correct. The chubby guy's body suddenly became thin, and an energy sphere was launched from the tentacle in its mouth. The purple sphere continued to fly without stopping. In the direction the sphere was facing, there was a group of rocks floating in space. The moment the small sphere launched by Oddeye collided with a group of rocks, an intense flash of light flashed. A huge explosion swept through the rock swarm like a shining sun. Rocks ranging from as small as tens of meters to as large as several kilometers were swallowed up by the purple energy explosion. After the light went out, all that remained was a very small amount of rock fragments. It was so destructive that it was hard to believe it was created by a sphere smaller than the guy's head. For now, we shot it at a group of rocks as a test, but if we shot it at a dwarf planet with a diameter of hundreds of kilometers, we would get similar results. The power itself is the same as the star flame I know. Red Galligan's star flame has about 0.8 times the power of Gigacracker's ion cannon. You might think it looks weaker than a super weapon, but that's definitely not the case. Because they become speakers. Unlike the cosmic bolt, which takes a long time to charge, and the ion cannon, which charges quickly but requires a long rest period after firing once, star flame has no limitations. The only drawback is that the brilliance of the heat ray is so clear that it can be seen even from a distance. The problem is that Oddeye's star flame is in the form of a sphere. Moreover, its size is as small as a small gym ball used when exercising. In that case, it would be nearly impossible to avoid even ships equipped with cutting-edge detection capabilities. I don't know if it's like that because it ate Vortex 1, or because it's a mutation. Perhaps the former merely served as a kind of awakening opportunity, and the latter may be correct. The psychic breath it uses is not in the form of a purple heat ray, but in the form of small energy bullets. Open corner bracket big adult, open corner bracket strength, open corner bracket similar. Zoo, I think I'm stronger. Open corner bracket really? Zoo, yes, you did well. The guy who heard my praise started jumping around on the outer wall of Gigacracker. My once plump stomach had suddenly become slender. Is energy consumption the problem instead? If you lose weight just by shooting it once, you won't be able to use it anytime like Red Galagon in the game. To be precise, the continuous shooting itself is possible, but its power will be significantly reduced. I have to see it as a secret trick. In fact, it is a very big benefit since you are carrying a small gigacracker with you. Everyone gained a lot from hunting Vortex 1. Now, if PS111 succeeds in safely transferring Isabel to a new body, all the goals I have planned will be achieved. Zuzuzuzu, then shall we go back? Open corner bracket I open corner bracket big adult open corner bracket together open corner bracket flying game. Zuzuzu's flying game. Odd I came running next to me. I think you want to spend some time flying with me. I think PS111 will need more time. It wouldn't be a bad idea to fly around Gigacracker with him to help digest the food. Why are you two playing alone? At that time, number 26 came out of the hangar. It swam through the weightless space, flapping its fins and tentacles. Open corner bracket little adult open corner bracket food open corner bracket storage open corner bracket storage open corner bracket don't you. Open corner bracket the little one will eat it too, so do it together. Open corner bracket I open corner bracket busy. Open corner bracket storage is more important than play. Open corner bracket no. Play open corner bracket. More. It's important. Zuzu 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 zuzu. Let's both stay together and then go in. Okay. It's not it. Odd I didn't seem to like the size 26. However, to make number 26, which is not yet familiar with it, fly as desired, you must practice consistently. You won't like it because Odd I is so fast. Here, it is right to consider no. 26. Zuzuzus, I'll help you. Open corner bracket good. Open corner bracket wait. Open corner bracket me. Open corner bracket more. Open corner bracket teach me well. Open corner bracket I'll learn from the big baby. Open corner bracket me. Open corner bracket flight. Open corner bracket skill. Open corner bracket excellent. Open corner bracket me. Open corner bracket study close corner bracket open corner bracket teach me well. Zuzu zuzuzu, that's right. Open corner bracket this way. Open corner bracket fly. Open corner bracket yes. Open corner bracket pain. Why open corner bracket hit me? Open corner bracket it's a mistake. So, after enjoying the flight under the pretense of practice for a while, we returned to the hangar. Are you here? As soon as I entered the hangar, a familiar voice greeted me. Finally successful. When I looked at PS111, I was taken aback for the first time since I saw the changes in the kids. His impression was very different from what I saw before I fell asleep. Until yesterday, the metal shell was filled with muscle and flesh, giving the legs and torso some volume, but now that wasn't the case. Like other mutant screamers, its body was so thin that its metal skeleton was exposed. It was as if almost all of the flesh inside the body had been removed. But the reason I was really embarrassed wasn't just because of his condition. I ended up using more than planned during the experiment. Sorry. The guy was holding a lump with a familiar face with his claws. Sorry. Help me. I won't do that again. Please kill me instead. Please don't cut that part. The identity of the mass was Alsh's, with only the head and part of the upper body remaining. The guy, who had life support devices connected to every part of his body, was unconscious and kept mumbling apologies. I thought you told me to leave the hair on. The head was not touched. Okay. But why is it in that state? I was shocked to see the body being mutilated. We've given you the right amount of tranquilizer, so you'll be fine soon. Among us, he is smarter than anyone else when it comes to genetic manipulation and biotechnology. Besides, there's no way a guy whose brain was half a computer wouldn't have known Alsh's would react like this. Half experiment, half revenge. PS111 did not remember Isabel, but she seemed to care for her quite a bit. Perhaps it is a reflection of the unconsciousness of its true original, 18th ranked Penelope. In that case, it is understandable that Alsh's was made like that. This guy is the enemy who enslaved Isabel, who could be said to be his younger sister, and caused her death. It's a little different than I thought, but I still saved it. It's a strange situation where a promise is neither broken nor kept, but I don't want to scold him for this. Since I was the one who handed Isabel over to that guy in the first place, I guess I have some responsibility as well. Moreover, it is not very important what Alsh's thinks or what pain he has suffered. One way or another, the process is different, but it's going to go into my stomach. If he comes back to his senses, we'll interrogate him. If not, we'll just eat him and turn him into a human being. I decided in my mind what to do with the guy and looked back at PS111. Seeing as you returned Alsh's, I guess Isabel is complete. Yes, but, the red camera lens wandered in the air and was tilted to the side. What's the matter? Did you really fail? The body is complete, and the brain transplant surgery was successful. However, quote ellipsis dot quote, is something wrong? Even though I kept asking, he didn't open his mouth. The camera lens that replaced the eye kept blinking. Is this your first time seeing such an attitude? Since its face is originally covered with metal skin, it is difficult to read its emotions. But not like today. The guy is very anxious. Don't worry if you run into trouble. We will help you. The guy who stayed silent for a long time finally opened his mouth. Little brother is refusing to wake up for unknown reasons. Refusal. Yes. The adaptation test, immune response check, and reception of vital signs were all confirmed to be normal. As a result of this, there was an 88% probability that my younger brother chose to fall asleep on his own. Isabel sleeps in her new body and does not wake up. Something happened that I never expected. C345. Immediately after hearing PS111's story, I headed to the modification factory where Isabel was located. A remodeled factory is a facility created by integrating unnecessary facilities such as medical rooms and cargo bays. Before going to version 02, PS111 and I worked together to make it. The original purpose was maintenance and repair of the PS111 and MPS series, but I had no idea it would be used like this. As I passed through the wide corridor and arrived at the remodeling factory, I saw many screamers running around busily. Among the mess of wires, mechanical parts, and living things blood and flesh, there was something I had never seen before. It, sleeping with numerous wires and cables connected, looks completely different from a regular screamer. Even when compared to its creator, PS111, it looks nothing like it. First of all, the body type is like that. While PS111 and the mutant screamers basically had a human head, a spider-like body, and a scorpion's tail, that one was closer to a snake or centipede. Its long, snake-like body was covered in alloy and shined in chrome color. The length is about 8 meters. Since PS111 is about 7 meters long, excluding the tail, it can be said that their body lengths are similar, like twins. The body connected by nodes gradually became thinner towards the tail. There was a white blade attached to the end of the tail, and it looked like it had been transplanted from Galligan's claw sword. Each segment had a pair of thin arms covered in alloy scales. Perhaps because they were made from cult body parts, each one had a different length and thickness. The only thing that is similar is that they each have a total of 4 hook-shaped fingers. When I turn my gaze to the front of the long body, I see the face of a familiar woman. It looked almost identical to the face of PS111 next to me, except that his eyes were closed. The appearance of a woman's head on the body of a snake or centipede was reminiscent of the mythological half-human, half-dead creatures Medusa or Lemira. In a way, this may be true. Because they were cursed by the devil of the universe, they lost their bodies and were reborn in a new body. Isabel, a cold-blood rancor and PS111's twin sister. He is currently sleeping in an artificially created body. You haven't woken up since the transplant was completed. Yes. I tried stimulating it by randomly giving electrical signals, but it's still in that state. What's the matter? A familiar wave came from behind. Heavenly Mother heard me moving and came to the renovation factory. She assumed the form of a griffin beast and was startled to see Isabel sleeping. Open corner bracket that, really. That's right. It's Isabel's new body. It's a bit hard to say this now, but I don't think they'll like it that much. We built it to be able to survive in a variety of environments. As a result of the simulation, it was confirmed to have high strategic efficiency. She looked at me with complete disagreement. To be honest, Isabel's new body wasn't bad. It's true that PS111 looks sturdy, as it says. It seems to be based on ice horror and mixed with the characteristics of various apex creatures. If you only look at what you see, the body shape imitates the ice horror, and the numerous arms imitate the ring of agony. It even had Galligan's claw sword attached to its tail. It is presumed that it may have taken the characteristics of the strongest being among the enemies it faced. I like the look of it too. The neatly arranged metal scales had no blemishes on the surface, and the body was also smooth. It was a bit annoying that the lengths between the arms were different, but that can be adjusted later. Well, this is just my opinion, so I can't generalize. As the Mother of Heaven responded, not many women like snakes or centipedes. It is even rarer for someone to be happy about their body turning into a centipede-shaped monster. It is true that Isabel is unlikely to calmly accept her new body, but that is not the problem now. Survival doesn't seem like a problem. What does that girl say? I don't know what Isabel thinks yet. I'm not recovering from my sleep. Maybe it's because of my body. It's probably not that. Because he never woke up after being transferred to a new body. He didn't wake up at all. It remains in this state even after the brain and body parts were transplanted, so it is still unknown what he thinks of his new body. The cause is unknown, but we have to wake him up somehow. The reason he saved Isabel by transferring her to a new body was to make her a companion who will continue to be with him in the future. Although he has organized information about the rankers he knows and left them in a file, it is too much of a waste to give up like this. The ability to read someone else's information has endless possibilities for use. And it's not good for it to continue like this. That centipede-like screamer body was also the first PS-111 made. There may be errors or problems that he didn't find. The longer the child sleeps, the bigger the problem becomes. I can't come this far and lose him. What about creating a new body and moving it? Continuing to perform brain transplants over a short period of time is risky. The probability of failure is estimated at 72%, and the probability of side effects occurring after successful transplantation is 67%. Good. And what about drugs? I have tried all the drugs placed on Gigacracker. Although Gigacracker is not a warship, it is a very important ship to Megacorp, so it is equipped with various drugs inside. If you have drugs that aren't here, you can get them in the solar system or at Megacorp's Space City level structures. As my worries deepened, the Griffin Beastman tapped me. For a moment, it may not be a physical problem. What do you mean? Mental factors may be preventing awakening. She looked at Isabel with serious eyes. I saw several patients who had successful surgeries but failed to recover because they lost the will to live. Isabel wishes for death. I have a chance to be with the family I lost, but will I really do it? Take a look at the situation until you summon Vortex 1. Damn, hee, you sacrificed your life on purpose because you were afraid that Alshas would fight us. That's right. That kid still doesn't know that we won. So, there is a possibility that he gave up everything. You mean he gave up his life to avoid harming us? Heavenly Mother nodded silently. Considering his personality, it's a reasonable inference. Isabel's love for her family was so deep that even while she was a slave, she saved the 40 compatriots left behind by her older sister. She will try to avoid at all costs the possibility of antagonizing her sister due to a defective contract. He might have thought that if he died and disappeared, everything would be easily resolved. In fact, there were some parts that weren't explained, but it wasn't at a level that I couldn't understand. However, if it is truly a mental problem that prevents him from waking up, things get complicated. Among the psychic power techniques, I have to use the mind control technique. There are only 2 people here who have the skill to control minds, me and Alshas. No Alshas. He's out of his mind because of PS-111. There is no guarantee that the orders I give will be properly carried out. Even if you try it after infecting it with parasites, the risk is too great. However, planting parasites in the head of Isabel, who became a screamer, is also problematic. The enhanced parasite gnaws away at the opponent's brain and replaces it. What I need is a colleague who thinks for himself, not a slave controlled by parasites. How will we do it? I looked down at Isabel, who had her eyes closed. The guy with the same face as PS-111 seemed very comfortable despite the situation. It was as if he was asking me not to wake him up. Next to the sleeping screamer were number 26 and Adai. Adai seemed to be curious, so he walked around in circles and tapped Isabel's arms with his front paw. Number 26 approached the face and caressed the surface with its tentacles. Open corner bracket feeling, open corner bracket unique, open corner bracket sick child, open corner bracket similar. Open corner bracket my friend's family also ate a lot, so I grew up well. Open corner bracket sick child, open corner bracket family, open corner bracket what I got, open corner bracket different, close corner bracket but open corner bracket feeling, open corner bracket same. As I watched the 3 of them, an old memory suddenly came to mind. In the past, mutant screamers invaded the dragon's nest and Adai's compatriots died. His mother, Ham Ort, was there to help him, who was in a state of self-destruction because he could not protect the group. And there was also no 26. At that time, I saw number 26 sitting between Ardhai and Ham Ort, connecting them with tentacles. The 2 just remained silent without any conversation. The next day, Adai recovered right away. I passed it over without thinking about it at the time, but why am I thinking about it again now? If you look at it that way, Adai, who hated Ham Ort, was also appeased by no 26. When viewed objectively, it is difficult to say that number 26 is eloquent. It is true that it possesses Intelligence that far surpasses that of a typical sea demon, but it is not human. The way we understand and convey certain concepts are very different. Moreover, persuading a creature that is completely different from yourself is usually not an easy task. Unless they used some kind of method I don't know about, it's close to impossible. Unless it has the ability to directly affect the mind. Coincidentally, number 26 is an outstanding psychic power user among us. Even though I have the upper hand in destructive power and output, he is far superior in precision and delicacy. To the extent that it is possible to read another person's thoughts or change their thoughts using psychic power. I called number 26. Zuzu Zuzuzu Zuzu Zuzuzu, can you feel Isabel's thoughts? Open corner bracket yes. Zuzu Zuzu Zuzuzuzu Zuzuzu Zuzuzuzu, can you check what I'm thinking right now? At my request, the guy put his tentacle to Isabel's forehead. The tentacles glowed a light purple color, and the color of its body kept changing. They say it's scary and lonely. But I guess I want to be alone. Zuzu, why? I don't know. I just need to be alone. Although it was possible to read emotions, it seemed difficult to explain them properly. If the hypothesis presented by Heaven's Mother is true, Isabel's feelings would be too complicated for him to understand. I asked the tentacled guy an important question. Zuz zusss zuzuzu zuzuzu zuzuzu, you've helped a die in Ham Ort before, right? Open corner bracket. Before. Open corner bracket little adult, open corner bracket me, open corner bracket I helped you. He waved his tentacle as if he remembered number 26, who had encountered Adaj's thoughts. That's right. I helped you before. Zuzu 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 zuzuzu zuzu, do for me what you did back then too. Open corner bracket do you want to reconcile with your friend's family, too? Zoo, yes. Please do me a favor too. PS 111 came between us. My brother maintains a deep intimacy with my original. There is an 82% chance that my presence will help persuade them. Zuzuzuzuzu, can both be possible. I don't know if it will work, but I'll give it a try. When No 26's permission was given, PS 111 went and lay down next to Isabel's head. With the same faces facing each other, it felt like looking in a mirror. I was about to join them, but Heavenly Mother sent a thought wave to me. Open corner bracket amorph. Zoo, huh. Open corner bracket I don't know how I will connect with her, but if I can tell her. She said, her amber eyes shining. Just tell me this. You've worked hard so far, so please don't give up here. Zuzuzu, okay. Rather, that is what I want to say. It took a lot of effort to save him. I will definitely receive compensation for going through all this trouble. To do that, you have to get it out of that head somehow. Then are you going? As I got closer to the head of the center in front of Isabel and PS 111, number 26 came into the center. 3 thin tentacles protrude from its pink body and move strangely. No 26's tentacle touched the monster's tentacle on the back of my head. Its tentacles gently intertwined with my bundle of tentacles. Is this what it feels like when your lover gently kisses your neck? The moment I thought it was a strange, tickling feeling, the sensation in my body quickly disappeared. The feeling was similar to when I linked with the nest. My mind and senses travel across the monster's tentacles to No 26's body. As I passed the guy's body and reached Isabel's forehead, my vision went dark. When I opened my eyes again, there was a city in front of me. Here is. I thought it was real, like when I saw a fantasy, but it wasn't. Ivory-colored buildings designed in geometric shapes were something I had seen not long ago. I am now in the middle of a metropolis of cults. As this Isabel's memory. When I bent my neck, I saw a small arm. On my chest. Seeing that the head on both sides was still intact, it seemed as if the adult amorph body had entered the guy's memory. It seems to have gotten a little smaller in size, though. I, who boasted a size larger than most buildings, have now become so small that I have to look up at them. I swung my tail over the sidewalk block, but it had no effect. Is this because it's someone else's memory? After briefly checking, I looked around. It was clear that it was a big city, but strangely there were no cults to be seen. Where is PS 111? If he succeeded in entering Isabel's mental world, he would most likely be here somewhere. As I was trying to find him, I saw a group of people running between the buildings. They were the Coldbloods, a race with a reptile-like head and humanoid body. How will we do it? After thinking for a while, I decided to follow those Coldbloods first. As I went through the buildings to follow them, the scenery suddenly changed. The once healthy big city suddenly became a ruin. When I looked up at the sky, I saw various warships and imperial carriers floating there. There were corpses strewn across the broken road. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be the corpses of cold bloods and cult members wearing dragon uniforms. Is this really possible? When I looked at the faces of the corpses and looked up, I saw someone fighting in the distance. Two cults were fighting fiercely against one coldblood. I know who the two cultists are and who was fighting them. 18th Ranker, Penelope. This memory I am looking at is the memory of the day Isabel's twin sister died. C346. Jason, a male cultist with deer antlers on his head, leaps into the air. The black axe in his right hand moves with an eerie light. The target of the axe blade is Coldblood in front. This is Penelope, a reptilian person who is taller than Cult and has a mature appearance. She extended her hand toward Jason. A small machine resembling a spider protruded from inside the sleeve. The identity of the machine is Blood River. A mechanical vampire flies in to bite Jason's neck. Suddenly, the male cult member frowns as Star Union's only weapon flies towards him. The axe changed direction and hit the Blood River. But now it's a trick from the opponent. The Blood River, which was split exactly in half, was empty. What Coldblood threw was a replica. Penelope, deceiving her enemy, launched herself backwards. As she was doing somersaults, she suddenly held a remote control that resembled a lighter in her hand. When the button was pressed, the sand exploded and a real blood river sprang up. If Jason had been alone, he would have been on the defensive here. But he has friends. A rainbow-colored bullet flew from somewhere and hit the blood river. Just like Jason, Cynthia, a female cult member with deer antlers, is supporting him from the rear. After neutralizing the blood river with color bomb, she created a purple spear and threw it at Penelope. Pain Spear, which weakens the opponent's healing effect, flies towards Coldblood's legs. Penelope twisted her body in the air and narrowly avoided the spear of pain. As she lands on the ground, Jason lunges at her like lightning. The black axe, Condemn, is plunged into Coldblood's chest. The sound of cutting air was heard, and the front of Penelope's clothes was slightly cut. Jason didn't stop there, but slightly squeezed and unclenched his left hand. Then Penelope's body flinched. It was either gravity control or bondage, but it was impossible to confirm. Cynthia did not miss the opportunity to have her colleague tie up her enemy. She blows out a color bomb. It was truly a moment of desperation. At that time, a new variable appeared on the battlefield. A short Coldblood jumped out of a nearby building. The guy threw something in front of the trajectory where the colored bomb was flying. A purple shield emerged from the hexagon-shaped plate and collided with the energy bullet. At the moment of impact, the plate was reduced to powder, but at the same time, the trajectory of the color bomb was also distorted. Coldblood achieved his intended goal, and Isabel took out a pistol from her arms. It was not a futuristic design like a plasma pistol or laser pistol, but a hand-fired pistol that would have been used during the Renaissance. Additionally, the entire gun was made of jewels, making it more of an ornament than a weapon. An old-fashioned pistol in the space age. Even if you shoot Jason, it won't even make a scratch on the black Galligan's armor he's wearing. However, when Jason saw that Isabel had pulled out a gun, he quickly rolled to the side to avoid it. Immediately after that, a gun clicked and the floor Jason was standing on turned to mushy mud. It's the power of Vortex 1. That gun that Isabel took out looks like something she received through a contract with Vortex 1. Like the curved sword he used to summon the Ring of Agony. Thanks to Jason's escape, Penelope was freed from her restraints and moved to Isabel's side. Are you okay? Thanks to. Thank you. They were twins in the real world, but here they look completely different. There was a clear difference between Penelope, who was tall and had a mature body, and standing next to Isabel, who had a small body. Also, unlike Isabel, who has blue eyes and scales, Penelope has red eyes and white scales. From the looks of it, he looked like a completely stranger, but not as much as his eyes. Seeing how they understood each other just by looking at each other, their feelings seemed to be no different from when they were twins. Damn Vortex 1. Be careful, Jason. It would be best not to get hit without my protection. I know. Jason and Cynthia also clung close to each other like twin sisters. When Cynthia raised her hand, a hemispherical protective shield surrounded them. The lull that occurred after the battle quickly ended. Both sides entered into battle again. I thought as I watched the four people fighting. I remember where Jason and Cynthia are. What kind of perks do they have? If you fight without knowing it, it can be quite threatening. Isabel has the ability to read other people's information. Since Isabel's side has the upper hand in information, they will not be easily defeated. And I can guess what Penelope's perk is. When fighting me, Jason summoned a golden figure to fight. That ability is a privilege that he stole by capturing the cold blood rancor. This ability is the source of my color of the abyss. The rancor who was killed by the bastard and had her privileges taken away was Penelope. If you have a perk similar to the color of the abyss, I don't think you will lose easily. In my case, the colors of the abyss only affect organic matter, but her perks may not have such limitations. If that were the case, then the cult warships filling the sky wouldn't mean much. Besides, to rob the privilege, you would have to take his own life. If the Imperial carriers floating in the sky use cosmic bolts, Jason will easily win, but then the perk cannot be taken away. However, the twin coldbloods are not easy to catch directly. But the fact that we still won. That there is still something I don't know. Meanwhile, Penelope, who was engaged in close combat with Jason, used her special privilege. Her eyes, which resembled those of a snake, changed from red to gold, and her body secreted a golden liquid that looked like melted gold. The golden liquid melted the clothes she was wearing, leaving her naked in an instant. Cynthia, who saw this, quickly moved using the levitation technique and stood in front of Jason. The liquid that flowed from Penelope's body gathered in the air as if it had an ego and became a large bubble. The bubble, inflated to its limit, exploded above the enemy's heads. Thanks to deploying the shield at the right time, Jason was safe. TCH. Penelope, who had failed in the surprise attack, clicked her tongue slightly. As if in response, Jason, who was inside the shield, opened his palm. 5 colored rays of light emanated from his palm. Penelope saw that and quickly raised her hand. Then, golden bubbles scattered in the air gathered together and covered her naked body. The color bomb strengthened by the special effect was blocked by the golden liquid that protected its owner. Isabel, behind Penelope, pulled out a pistol containing the power of Vortex 1. The point where the gun is aimed is the floor where Jason and Cynthia are standing. The floor, which had previously turned into mud, now turned into a sandy quagmire. Cynthia grabbed Jason and used the levitation technique to fly upward. Penelope's golden bubbles followed behind them, but they were all blocked by the hemispherical shield. In that state, Jason stretched out his hand on Penelope's head. The floor around Penelope cracked, probably because gravity control was used. Penelope, protected by the golden liquid, seemed fine, but Isabel was not. She quickly distanced herself from Penelope. Jason smiled even though the attack didn't work. As if he wanted this situation. Isabel. Penelope, seeing the corners of Jason's mouth rise, urgently shouted. At that moment, a small-sized projectile flew from the sky. The object flew at a speed so fast that even my senses could not detect it and tried to pierce Isabel's abdomen. This would probably have happened if Penelope hadn't pushed Isabel away in a hurry. Whoa, sister. Penelope, whose abdomen was pierced by a projectile, vomits blood and collapses. Isabel quickly pulled out the cylindrical object she was wearing around her waist and threw it onto the sand. A crunching sound was heard, and a red mist rose from the object. Fuck. It's red mist's hallucinogenic pheromone. Chloe, shoot now. Shit. It's mine, so don't shoot. Immediately after Cynthia shouted, a small projectile flew from afar and narrowly grazed Isabel's neck in the fog. What about that? The projectile that tore through the sky blue scales and fell to the ground was a bullet. The warhead was made of a metal similar to obsidian, and the rest was made of golden metal. It's a bullet made of star pearl and nova metal. Nova metal is a rare metal used to make strategic weapons such as Rajan or Imperial Mothership. Star pearl is a much rarer metal than that. The only people who can turn such metals into bullets and use them are rankers. It was 3-2. Outside the battlefield, an unidentified enemy is targeting the twins. Sister. Wake. Cough. While the red fog covered Isabel, she helped Penelope, who had fallen. As they run away, the surrounding scenery becomes blurry like fog. Before I knew it, I was inside a dark building. When I saw the collapsed walls and the holy ceiling, it seemed like it wasn't far from where the fight took place. Inside the collapsed building, Isabel was checking Penelope's wounds. The man's hands and hem of his clothes were stained with golden liquid and blood. It was all flowing out of Penelope's abdomen. Because of me, my sister. The panicked girl tried to stop the bleeding from her sister's wounds. But Penelope's condition only worsened. Please God, not just my sister. Please, just my sister. Isabel. Guy. Contract. Even if we make a contract. Isabel. Quote exclamation mark quote. Isabel paused as the dying Penelope raised her voice. She stroked her brother's blue-scaled face with her bloody hands. There are still people we have to protect. They won't survive if we're both gone. Sister. My sister is more important to me. I would rather lose my sister. You don't think so. I know. Even as blood continued to ooze from her abdomen, her voice did not waver at all. When I just heard the voice, it seemed perfectly fine, but it wasn't. Now she is delivering a final message to her only family. Protect them. Quote ellipsis dot quote. Go. Hurry. They will be here soon. After saying that, she stood up. The red eyes turned golden again, and the scales of the entire body were covered with golden liquid. Sister. Go. Isabel had no choice but to follow her sister's roaring screams. A loud explosion is heard behind the guy running out of the building. As Jason and Penelope's shouts intertwined, the scene before my eyes changed. Isabel, covered in wounds, is kneeling in a ruined alley. The antler cult was looking down at him with an arrogant attitude. You bothered us with your pointless resistance. Stop talking bullshit and kill me. With a look of annoyance on her face, she packed the pistol powered by Vortex 1 in her arms. Kill me. Are you going to abandon your sister and die? What do you mean? When Isabel asked, Cynthia opened her mouth as if to be kind. Your older sister, 18th ranked Penelope, was only suppressed, not killed. Quote exclamation mark quote. Of course it depends on what you do. Cynthia bent down and brought her face closer to Isabel. And he whispered softly like a tempting snake. Please join me, or rather, our return group. Then your sister will live. Quote ellipsis dot quote. Isabel, who was looking at Cynthia with a blank expression, eventually lowered her head. That was the end of Isabel's memories. When I opened my eyes, a familiar-looking crypt greeted me. Overall, it was similar to the crypt that Isabel had built in Burzon 2 to hide cold-blood slaves. However, her memories were sitting where the mud wall should have been. As if running a projector, the unfortunate events she had experienced were being played over and over again on the surface of the wall. In the middle of the movie theater of memories, Isabel was sitting alone. C347. Isabel sits in the crypt and watches the video with empty eyes. The guy's appearance was a little different from what I remembered. It clearly had the same appearance as Coldblood with a short stature, but it seemed as if an image of a woman had been printed and overlaid on top of it. Amov. A person with a mixture of Coldblood and human female appearance turns his head towards me. Isabel's strange appearance, and even recognizing me. This place was a different space from the world of memories I had seen so far. Maybe it's a world created to confine itself. Penelope was injured while fighting an enemy. She ran away leaving her sister behind. And even being tricked by Cynthia into cooperating. The fragments of memories shown on the walls of the crypt were all unhappy memories. In other words, this is a nightmare world that instills guilt and forces atonement. The guy who was looking at me looks behind me. And my sister. When I turned my head, there was a strange being there. Unlike me, which was only reduced in size, PS111 had changed quite a bit. The image of Penelope, a human, was overlaid on the appearance of the mutant screamer. A being who was neither a human nor a coldblood nor a mutant screamer spoke. Little brother. It's all over. Alshaz was defeated, and all elements that could harm my brother were eliminated. Quote ellipsis dot quote. So you can come out. Isabel shook her head at PS111's words. Why didn't I know about it earlier? My sister is already dead. I am not dead. Maybe I just didn't want to admit it. My sister died because of me, so I'm trying to avoid responsibility. According to confirmed memory information, it is force majeure. I lied to myself because I wanted to live alone about such topics. No. You did your best. PS111 continued to try to persuade him, but it didn't reach him. Isabel feels guilty just by looking at the listed memories. Among the numerous pasts, only the extreme parts that can cause pain to oneself are repeated. Since the owner of the space wants to abuse himself, it is understandable that PS111's words will not be heard. As long as the conversation itself doesn't happen, they won't listen to anything we say. I need to relieve my guilt. Since we got a glimpse into Isabel's mind, the reverse could also be possible. Using PS111's original, Penelope's memories, would be a great help in removing his guilt. The problem is that PS111's memory is almost completely lost. In the past, it was heavily damaged while fighting Ice Horror. Thanks to number 26, he was able to barely recover his brain, but in the process, most of his memories were lost and a new personality took over. Since Penelope's memory itself is limited, I don't know if it can be used to convince Isabel. But, I looked at PS111 trying hard to persuade Isabel. The guy didn't give up and was trying to convey what he felt after seeing Isabel's memories. As if that was the only means of conveying one's feelings. The heart. Suddenly an old thought comes to mind. My mother was a very cold person. Even before my accident, my mother never once said she loved me. I once asked my father about this when I was young. At that time, my father said that there are things that can be conveyed even if they are not expressed in words. My mother says she loves me on the inside, even though she's not good at expressing it. I think it is true that my mother cared about me just as my father said. Because you continued to pay the expensive hospital bills. However, it took quite a long time to understand my mother's feelings. If you think about it, the relationship between Ardhai and Ham-Ort was also like that. Ham-Ort deliberately chose to abandon Adai in order to save him from the evil Black Dragon. Because of that, Adai lived with resentment towards his compatriots for a long time. Although I heard the truth later, the resentment was not easily resolved. Even considering that Galagon is a being that cannot lie, it is not easy to understand. Number 26 solved a problem that took a long time to solve by sharing memories and minds. What she needs may be her feelings rather than words. If PS-111's emotions were directly connected, it would be a great help in recovering Isabel. I called PS-111. Isabel doesn't listen to anyone. So let's change our approach. I can't give up on my little brother. I don't want my brother to suffer. We need to continue the conversation to wake up my brother. PS-111 was always machine-like and cold-hearted, but that wasn't the case now. The guy is getting nervous now. I calmly scolded him. I never said I was giving up. I said let's change our method. What method do you mean? You have to tell him your feelings directly like number 26 did. I am a mutant screamer. My emotions are nothing more than a product of many complex factors and chemical reactions. I can't meet your expectations at all. I know it without having to say it. This guy is in a much more confusing form than Isabel. Because it is a being created through a complex process, it is a mixture of various selves. That's why now is your chance. Among the images of self realized in a mixed state, Penelope's latent consciousness is also included. Since his ego is influencing his thinking, it will be easy to convey his feelings to Isabel. Furthermore, I am a combination of machine and organic matter. Most of my thinking is driven by AI. The same goes for emotions. Well, you'll find out when you try it yourself. It is a meaningless act. It's not something that requires a long time anyway, so there's no reason not to do it. That's true. When I refused to give up my opinion, PS-111 eventually nodded. What should I do? Let's try it like we did outside. Put your foreheads together. PS-111 approached his brother and put his head close to him. Even though Penelope's afterimage was blurred, no emotion appeared on Isabel's face. When their foreheads touched, the image overlaid on their bodies shimmered like water droplets on the surface of the water. Quote ellipsis dot quote. Isabel still shows no reaction. Instead, the walls of the crypt responded. Memories that were repeatedly projected onto the wall began to noise and slowly changed into something else. Memories of the past that were sharp as a razor blade become blurry like fog. Clusters of light of various colors fill the empty space. As if reflecting the man's mental state, the dark crypt quickly turned into beautiful colors. The guy's eyes moved slowly, following the brilliant light. The light filling the wall was not fixed but constantly moving. It was as if there was fog or a mosaic and nothing was clearly visible, but strangely enough, I could clearly feel what was being conveyed. It was, thank you. Thank you for living without giving up. A tribute to the efforts made so far to preserve the legacy left by her sister. Lastly, I would like to praise my family for believing and waiting for me to return someday. The numerous mosaics painted on the walls conveyed only one message. That was in complete contrast to the past that had tortured him until now. It is also what Isabel needs most. Quote ellipsis dot quote. A single tear rolls down the guy's expressionless face like a doll. As expected, connecting emotions with PS-111 was effective. Everything. The guy who was quietly shedding tears opened his mouth. If only I had noticed a little sooner, if I had been stronger. As the words continue, the space becomes distorted again. A shadow falls on the beautiful ball of light. What used to look like a mosaic becomes clearer and tries to return to the dark past. The guy's guilt and PS-111's emotions are clashing. I could have avoided my sister suffering. No, rather, guilt is consuming PS-111's message. Looking at his reaction now, if I make a mistake, PS-111 becoming a mutant screamer may be added to the bad memories he had. That's annoying. If things continue like this, Isabel will be completely buried in a mental prison filled with guilt. The problem is that PS-111 no longer has the means to pressure Isabel. I have to convince him now. While PS-111 is biding his time, we need to destroy his prison cell. I approached the twins, who were pressing their foreheads together. Isabel, I was always the problem. Because I'm not better than my sister. You're right. As I affirmed that he was self-harming, the memories playing on the wall became clearer. PS-111 also trembled in embarrassment. I can't back out now. P.S. If you had prepared more, you wouldn't have lost Penelope. Quote exclamation mark quote. But we can't change the past now. Your sister became a mechanical creature, and you became a similar creature. Cynthia, who deceived you, is already dead. As soon as Isabel closed her mouth, the atmosphere in the crypt quickly calmed down. Pitch black darkness covers his mental world. By the way, the guys who turned Penelope into a screamer are still alive and well. They are happy to see their successful research results. How happy will I be now that I have a good sample? Quote ellipsis dot quote. I don't know what the head of Star Union, the head of the Star Union involved in the production of PS-111, and the matriarch of Megacorp Garmelda, are actually thinking. But that doesn't matter here. While you are here, they will try to retrieve PS-111 somehow. I don't want to lose him, but I don't know what's going on in the world. What would you do if they took your sister away? Stop. The culprit who pushed your sisters into hell still remains outside. But will you be here? If they dissect and torture your sister, will you regret it? Stop. Isabel screams as if she can't listen anymore. Every time the guys shout echoed in the crypt, the dark memories cracked. Why are you giving up here? Is it because PS-111 is not the kind of sister you want? If not, why don't you try to protect your family? Quote. Damn you morph. What do you know? The only thing I know, Isabel, is that you deserve to be happy. What? Erase everyone who stands in the way of you and your sister's happiness. All those who bully your sister and those who insult you. Be happy on their corpses. I'm happy. You've worked hard so far. Don't give up here. The moment I finished speaking, the memories on the wall shattered like glass breaking. At the same time, the entire crypt in which we were standing shook violently. Amav is right. I have work to do. Little brother. Sister. In reality, in this world, and here. Isabel, with the light in her eyes now back, looks at us. Thank you for loving me. With those words, the prison of nightmares collapsed. Consciousness returns, as if slowly waking up from a deep sleep. My consciousness is transferred to Amav's body, and the shell of my body slowly comes to life. Starting with the auxiliary organs sensing the smell of blood flowing in the manufacturing plant, the senses are felt in that order, followed by the large head and long neck. When I linked to the nest and released it, my senses returned quickly, but not this time. I don't know if it was because I had grown bigger, or because my entire consciousness had entered another being's body, but my recovery was slow. When I was finally able to move my central head, I opened my eyes. I thought I would see number 26 and Odd Eye as usual, but no. As soon as my senses returned, the first sight I saw was something completely unexpected. Pinche puta, goddamn you bitch. Where did you hide my pistol? Kehi. I don't know. A screamer with the body of a centipede and the face of a human woman is holding onto the limbless cult. Isabel, who had acquired a beautiful new body, was strangling Alshes with several arms. Little brother, your body is not yet fully coordinated, so please refrain from making extreme movements. Open corner bracket my friend's family is strong. Open corner bracket I'm sick, isn't it? Suddenly open corner bracket I'm healthy. PS-111, who had just woken up like me, wriggled his long body and tried to stop his rampaging new brother. Behind them, number 26 and Adai are watching in amazement. Amav, what on earth have you done? As soon as the Mother of Heaven woke up, she opened her beak wide as she saw Isabel causing trouble. I answered her question briefly. Zuzuzuzu, I told you not to give up as I asked. Open corner bracket no matter how you look at it, it doesn't seem like that's all you said. Other than that, he didn't say anything special. It's just a reminder that he has work left to do. He will remain by our side until he fulfills his duty. The duty of revenge. C348. Isabel, who was strangling Alshes until the life support device attached to her body sent a danger signal, soon lost consciousness. This is because it was not long after the brain transplant, so his physical condition was not normal. I confirmed that the signals sent from my younger brother's brain were amplified more than necessary. They turn to external support systems until they can stabilize themselves. PS-111 began tuning Isabel's fallen body by connecting cables and various electronic devices. I passed out shortly after waking up, but I'm not particularly worried. If the tuning process is successful, you will wake up again. Good. Then, I pointed the tip of the snout at Alsh's lying on the floor. The pistol that Isabel used until she fainted. It probably refers to the weapon used to fight enemies in past memories. It is presumed that Cynthia took it with her after tricking him. Jason said that Cynthia took care of the equipment of the rankers she hunted. And so far, he has hunted at least 2 rankers with Jason. I wasn't carrying any weapons when I fought in the space fortress. There was no way I would have just thrown away the equipment I got from Isabel, Penelope, and other rankers. It's probably hidden somewhere, and there is someone in front of me who can know that place. The guy who came back from the dead felt my gaze and stiffened. When I brought my head closer, it started shaking. We still have some calculations to make, right? I really don't know anything. Oh, really? Please believe me. Given the circumstances, it is highly likely that Cynthia was the one who enslaved Isabel. And at some point, Alshas took over control of Isabel from Cynthia. There was no way Cynthia, who was acting as a double spy, would entrust the management of Rancor to someone she did not trust. Even if they are colleagues from the same faction. If they are close friends, they would know where Cynthia hides the equipment she acquired. Now that I look at him, he seems to be in good spirits. Since the conversation is going well, there doesn't seem to be any problem in taking out information. Cynthia, who entrusted Isabel to you? Tell me everything you know about him. See, Cynthia, he's just my colleague, all I know is. If you don't know anything, there's no reason for you to be alive. If I tell you, will you save my life? Okay. You won't die, I promise. Heavenly Mother, who was helping PS-111 take care of Isabel, glanced at me. The look in his eyes asked if this was the beginning again. Should we change seats? Yes. Hiek. I picked up Alshas with my fighting arms. Open corner bracket, where is the big baby going? Open corner bracket, me, open corner bracket, together, open corner bracket, go. Open corner bracket, wait a minute. The cold bloods Isabel brought with them haven't eaten yet. Can you two help me? Are you humans with so many appendages hungry? Cute dwarf. I'll help you. Instead of what we eat, you can go to the restaurant and bring us the leftover food. Yes. Number 26 and Adai, who were following me, left for the restaurant to bring food to the 40 coldbloods. Now that I think about it, I need to think about what to do with the 40 people. You can't keep burning it on a giga cracker. We need to put them on a safe planet so they can survive on their own. It's a safe place. They know a lot about us. If we happen to come into contact with other rankers, information about us may be leaked. Therefore, it is not a matter of being safe. It's a good idea to move to a planet that other players don't know about. Shall we send it to the Dragon's Nest? A frozen underground kingdom ruled by Ham Ort on behalf of Adaj. It's a planet that doesn't appear in the game, and to get to the underworld, you have to go down through a thick layer of ice. Even if another ship accidentally discovers the planet, it is not easy to check the underworld. The basement under the ice isn't a bad place for coldbloods to live. Plus, it will be safer than any other planet since it will be protected by the Galagons. It's a thought that came to mind in passing, but it seems surprisingly good. It couldn't have happened in the first place. It's hard to believe when you look at Adai, but Galagons are very vicious. They are hostile to all creatures other than their own group. It is not a creature inspired by Western dragons for nothing. Of course, I am considered a member of the Adai group. If you ask Ham Ort to protect the coldbloods, he will most likely listen. You could just entrust it with helping incubate the eggs or raise the blue Galagon. I will have to talk about this with Heavenly Mother later. After organizing my thoughts, I took Alshas and moved to the hangar. Let's start with Cynthia first. After arriving at the hangar, I asked Alshas some questions. He answered as best he could to satisfy me. I couldn't find the slightest trace of mocking me in version 02. Moreover, he must have really wanted to die, so he told everything about not only Cynthia but also his colleagues. Thanks to this, I was able to learn a lot of interesting facts. The 4th and 7th places joined forces. As I guessed when Alshas received support from Outspacer Rancor and 7th ranked Cult Rancor Biomho were in a cooperative relationship. Outspacer and the cult are incompatible, but it was unclear what cooperation was received in return. According to him, Bombho persuaded number 4 to join the same team. More than that, it's been over 30 years since the 4th person came to this world. It's a big deal. The 4th place player in the game was the type that steadily grew its colony and overwhelmed the opponent. Outspacers are a race that is weak individually, but quickly becomes stronger when large numbers of people gather together. Fourth place can be seen as having a play style that best matches their race. Since it has grown steadily over a long period of 30 years, the size of the colony is likely larger than expected. Additionally, it is said that the outspacer player ranked 37th has also joined the 4th ranked colony. Since the two rankers have joined forces, they may be able to take down the cult empire once and for all. I too have become something other than the standard, but I have to be careful. There will be perks based on the genetic essence accumulated over 30 years, so if you are going to fight, you must do your best. Anyway, this confirms who the returning members are. Alshaz said that, excluding himself, 2 outspacer rankers, and Byungho, there are 2 more rankers. Of the 2, Wolf Ranker said he was in charge of managing the faction's equipment. If you say Wolf Ranker, do you mean 9th place? 9th place is dead. The person who manages our equipment is someone else. 9th place is the highest ranking among Wolf Rankers. Unlike the Heavenly Mother, who is good at fighting while transformed, he is the type that prefers to fight using a fleet in his Beastman form. Seeing that he declared that he was dead, I think he might have been killed by the returning faction. Where is he hiding? It's in Osca 44 in the Durain star system. It is an unknown volcanic planet. It's a volcanic planet. I tried to make wolf-specific equipment for Mother of Heaven, and it just turned out well. Since you have already obtained the most important material, Vortex 1's body, you can obtain the remaining mineral materials there. It wouldn't be a bad idea to stop by while I'm looking for Isabel's pistol. Good. I knew Wolf Ranker's location. Where did the other one go? Well, I don't know the details. All I know is that I went to do something else under Byungho's instructions. Quote. He added hastily, scratching the hangar floor with his combat claws. It looks like Byungho is taking on the role of brain. I expected that to happen. He is good at outwitting the enemy by utilizing various variables. He could be said to be similar to me in that he enjoys using unusual tactics. Where is the tiger's stronghold? My friend is always wandering around, so I don't know where he is right now. What are his perks? Alshaz answered my question hesitantly. Well, I've never had a deep conversation before. Really. The answer I received was that I didn't know, but I wasn't particularly disappointed. Byungho is a player with similar tendencies to me. I had already expected that even if they were from the same faction, they would not share their information. You're following someone you don't know anything about. You trust people more than I thought. That's not it. No. Byungho knows a way to return us to the real world. That's why I also follow the cause of the returnees. If there's a way to bring them back, do you mean the ending? Alshaz shook his head at my question. It is impossible to see the ending the way it is in the game. It's impossible. How do you know that? Before the return sect was created, Byungho attempted the final mission with other rankers but failed. 9th place was also dead at that time. Now that I think about it, I once heard a similar story from Heavenly Mother. In the past, several rankers, including 1st place, challenged the final mission. At that time, they used some method to meet the conditions for challenging the mission. Looking back, I think each ranker used the perks they received. But they failed, and I heard that the conflict between rankers began after that. That's an interesting story. What way do you want to see the ending? I don't know that either. You don't know. The only person who perfectly knows the method is Byungho. Because it would be difficult if the plan were leaked. It's not wise to lie to me. Well, it's not a lie. Byungho tells me parts of the plan whenever necessary, so I know very little. I have several ways to detect someone else's lies. You can use parasites or make them into human face bugs. There is no way Alshaz, a ranker, wouldn't know that, so he wouldn't lie or try to deceive. However, apart from not lying, there is one question. I don't think either Cynthia or Alshaz would trust others easily. Cynthia was a double agent, and Alshaz is selling out his colleagues to survive. It will not be easy to gain trust from these people. Or is there some other factor? There may be something about Byungho that Alshaz himself is not aware of. Things like perks or brainwashing related techniques that I don't know about. I don't know what it is, but I need to be careful. First of all, I confirmed all the important things. I asked him the last question. Have you ever had a vision while clearing a quest? Yes. They say that the closer you get to the ending, the more your memories of the real world appear as illusions. Who did you look like in your fantasy? The guy who heard me was silent for a moment and then opened his mouth. I became what I was when I was human. I killed the incarnated enemy of the cult in this world, in my mansion. He was the opposite of Jason. This is because Jason had a vision of killing his former human self, in the body of a cult. At what point did that happen? Why are you asking that? I don't think you're in a position to ask questions. I saw it when I cleared stage 10 of the quest. Jason also said he had a vision in level 10. Only the choices were different for both, but the point in time when they saw the illusion was the same. After that, according to the words of Byungho and the Fourth Empress, they say that from then on, they have visions of returning to life in reality. Real life. They said they were preparing us so we could adapt safely. I asked the question without much expectation, but the answer was unexpectedly interesting. 3 of the members of the returning sect saw visions related to reality. There is almost certainly a connection between factions and fantasy. Furthermore, they said that fantasy plays a role in helping people adapt to reality. Perhaps, as you get closer to the ending, the fantasy you see changes depending on the identity you have decided on. If you choose the human form, you see life in the real world, and if you choose this world, you see life in space survival as a fantasy. We'll have to talk about this when Isabel wakes up. Good. There is nothing more to ask. As that's so, I got enough information to be helpful. I got up. Alshaz, who was lying in front of me, looked up at me with expectant eyes. Hey, you promised, right? If you answer the question, they will save your life. Okay, then I'll just go. Having lost all of his limbs and part of his lower body, he crawled towards the remaining airship in the hangar. I blocked the guy who was crawling like a slug with my fighting arms. He forced a smile and tried to slide off to the side, but I was faster. I picked it up with 4 long fingers. And the head in the center opened its mouth wide. When he saw my mouth wide open, his complexion suddenly became pale. Saw, you promised that you would save me. Okay, I promised. I will never mess with you again. I won't go against Amav's wishes. I brought the rest of his body to my mouth. The guy hanging onto my finger was trying his best to get away. It's meaningless, though. Well, please send it to me. Lord, I don't want to die. You don't die. Yes. The form and character will be a bit different. Seo. Really. I meant it when I said I would save him. However, I don't know when he might betray me if I leave it like this, so I'm just trying to take some action. Kya. Hey. I hate human beings. I don't like it. Please don't do this. It jumps around like a fish in the water. But there's no way a guy who couldn't run away even if he had arms and legs could run away now. The face, which was very beautiful as expected from a cult, was stained with tears, saliva and other secretions. The dignity of the rancor who was mocking me in version 02 was gone. I threw him into the wide open mouth. See, I hate it. I don't want to die like this. As I closed my mouth, the screaming stopped. The sweet scent spreads to every corner of your tongue, palate, and teeth. It was a scent that made you feel good, like eating cool peppermint candy. It would be nice to keep it in your mouth, but you can't do that forever. I passed what was Alshaz down my throat. And predation effect activated. Succeeded in stealing. Alshaz, Olivia Green's privilege. Close corner bracket. Open corner bracket can be fused with the possessed 3 heads and Smog Tower. Please select a characteristic. The result of your choice is influenced by the characteristics of the material used. P.S. You are at a crossroads of important choices. Please choose carefully. Close corner bracket. Open corner bracket. Time remaining until attribute selection. 2400. Open corner bracket eligible for use of the attribute enhancement system. Do you want to use the system? A text box seen in the dragon's nest in the past. A new mark of a strong enemy awaits my choice. A word from the author's review. The quarantine period is over, but the problem is that I have a severe cough and my head is dizzy. I will make up for the portion I missed on Sunday later. The 7th of December 2022. There was a setting error, so it will be corrected. Among the strong enemy token materials, Ghost Nest is changed to Smog Tower. Until now, the strong enemy's mark has always been made using normal traits as materials, but Ghost Nest is a nest-related fusion trait. Since it is a trait that has never been used yet, some people have asked what it is. It was obtained when receiving creatures from Alkady in version 02. The characteristic effect was set to show illusions to multiple enemies through the fog in the nest. This characteristic will likely be used later, not this time. C349. Long time no see. This is the first time since they ate Jason on the ice planet. At that time, I created a new powerful enemy badge trait by fusing one of the 2 traits with the player perk. The color of the abyss was created using such a method. Even back then, we asked for ingredients with different personalities. I created the color of the abyss by choosing the latter between the infection-related trait, space bacteria, and the supernatural power-related trait, illusion flame. Perhaps, if the former had been chosen, a completely different type of sign of a powerful enemy would have been created. This time, you have to choose between body-related traits and nest-related traits. The former is 3 heads, a reward trait received when evolving into an adult, and the latter is the general trait, smog tower. As before, both are completely different personality traits. You cannot predict what the outcome will be, so you must choose carefully. I would like to see characteristics similar to Alcius's perks as much as possible. He was able to create a clone that could use the original's abilities. If you obtain that ability in the current situation, you will be able to use it for a variety of purposes. What should I choose to be similar to the original? Among the ingredients, 3 heads belong to physical properties. It is thanks to this characteristic that adult imorphs can have multiple heads. The left and right heads are controlled by the central head, but they also move independently. These characteristics may be reflected and reborn as characteristics that create a new amorph. It has a similar effect to Alcius's perk. That would be really nice, but there is a problem. The point is that 3 heads is a trait that cannot be easily obtained. To get the 3 heads again, you'll need to target an adult imorph or a specific type of Vortex 1. First of all, meeting the adult imorph is truly like picking a star in the sky. Even if we exclude the former, it is not easy to target the latter, that is, the 3-headed Vortex 1. It's a more dangerous creature than the Ring of Anguish, so it's hard to win even if you fight it now. If I use it here as an ingredient, it will take quite some time to get it again. Just as the Essence Harvester's Jaw, received as a semi-adult, was upgraded to the Reaper's Maw, the 3 heads also merge with other characteristics to become a more powerful characteristic. The fusion characteristic created with 3 heads is quite powerful, so it is a bit disappointing to use it here. On the other hand, smog towers don't have that risk. This trait of covering the nest with toxic fog is not a very important trait to me at the moment. Also, the trait itself is not difficult to reacquire. However, there is a high probability that it will be far from the result I want. Like the colors of the abyss. Jason's original ability was to eject a special substance from his body to create a golden shape. If I had used space bacteria as a material back then, similar properties would have emerged. If smog tower is the material, does it come with properties that strengthen nest fights? There has been no use of the nest recently, but there is no guarantee that will be the case in the future. Now that the base of the cult empire has been devastated, there will be a lot of fighting against multiple enemies in the future. In addition, you have to pay attention to the battle with outspacers in the volume war. But I can't guess what characteristics will come out. It is a fusion of the ability to spread toxic fog over the nest and the ability to create clones. Maybe it's a trait that creates clones or something similar, limited to nests only. The black mucus in the nest is all organic matter produced by my body. It is not impossible to use this to create new organisms. However, if the speculation is true, its versatility will be greatly reduced. If you cannot use the nest, you cannot use the strong enemy token. In situations where you cannot borrow the power of the nest, such as when fighting against a fleet or in outer space, it is useless. Should we obtain properties as similar to the original as possible by consuming materials that are difficult to obtain? Or should we choose a characteristic where the ingredients are easy to obtain but the results are unpredictable? Among the tokens of powerful enemies I have obtained so far, there has never been a case where they were completely useless. Since each has its pros and cons, it is unlikely that there will be a big loss no matter what the outcome is. I lay down comfortably on the hangar floor and continued to worry. It was only after examining what materials to use for such a long period of time that I was able to decide. Let's use 3 heads. Even if the materials are rare, they are not as valuable as the perks. Looking at the players I've met so far, they all had perks with different effects. Even if you later fight against other rankers and win, the probability of obtaining the perk to create a duplicate is extremely low. Therefore, it is irrational to give up the possibility of obtaining a desired perk just because the materials are precious. Plus, there's the problem of versatility. This was the case this time as well, but in the future there may be more frequent situations where you cannot rely on the nest. I can already fly freely in space, and enemies will also attack me in various environments. If it is combined with Smog Tower and it turns out to be an attribute that can only be used in nests, it will naturally be less versatile. Of course, I don't know yet whether 3 heads will be a characteristic that meets my expectations. It is better to choose the one with better possibilities. Do you really want to choose 3 heads as your material? Once you make a choice, there is no going back. It doesn't matter. Check. Open corner bracket eligible for use of the characteristic enhancement system. Do you want to use the system? As it happens, there are quite a few of the characteristics I have that are currently unnecessary. Tooth grip strength, chitinous outer shell, wings, claws of a beast of prey, improved salivary glands, and enhanced secretion of digestive juices. Let's make it 6 like this. Once the characteristics enhancing materials were completed, the strong enemy mark system was activated. Open corner bracket a fusion of the perks of Alsha's Olivia Green and the 3 heads trait. Quantum intervention in the characteristic enhancement system. Open corner bracket improvement of characteristics. Open corner bracket evolving to the Hydra splitting characteristic. As the characteristic effect was applied, a change occurred in the body. In humans, it has a long neck that extends from the shoulders and collarbone and 2 heads at the end. A purple sheen began to flow on the surface of the area. It looked like purple electricity was flowing through it, but I didn't feel any pain. It's a strange feeling. Open corner bracket grr. Open corner bracket grr. The heads on my left and right tilted their heads as if they were feeling the same way as me. I checked the text box for the new strong enemies badge, Hydra division. Open corner bracket Hydra fission. Divide the head to create clones that can operate independently for 60 minutes. Up to 2 clones can be created, and they share limited physical characteristics of the original. Shared elements. Physical body, special defense, internal organs, characteristics related to environmental adaptation. Caution. When a clone dies, it cannot be regenerated for 30 days. Looking at the explanation, it seems to be as I expected. I expected that the heads would be used to create clones, and that was indeed the case. However, it is unfortunate that unlike Alsha's, the clone cannot use all the abilities of the main body. In addition, the number of copies made was limited to 2. In some ways, it can be seen as a deteriorated version. Open corner bracket grr. Open corner bracket grr. Grr. I'm not saying anything to you. The left head read my thoughts and lowered its head as if apologizing. The right head tilted its head, saw what the left head was doing, and followed suit. Now that I think about it, I think I've become a bit smarter. Originally, the 2 heads were intelligent enough to assist me during battle. However, it was not at the level of expressing emotions as richly as it is now. That doesn't mean it's out of control. It seemed closer to an improvement in brain performance in a functional sense rather than a body part gaining an identity. Let's try an experiment. I used Hydra cleavage while looking at the left side of the head with a purple sheen. As the characteristic was activated, the purple glow surrounding the left side of the head and neck began to gradually become darker. Eventually, it turned into a purple jelly-like texture and separated from my body and fell to the floor. And I almost fell to the floor too. Although the balance of the body was broken due to the loss of the neck, the real reason was different. The energy consumption is enormous. Although not as much as when using the Black Devourer cannon, a significant amount of energy was consumed. It would have been dangerous if number 26 and a die had not stuffed the meat of the Ring of Agony into my mouth while I was asleep. While I was adjusting my posture, the purple jelly that fell on the floor was gradually increasing in size. It, which started out at about 15 meters in size, grew rapidly and soon grew into a 50 meters in size giant monster. Its shape was quite similar to that of an adult imorph. Except that it only has 1 head, is about 10 meters smaller than me, and makes me feel dwarfed overall. It's because the unique characteristics are not applied. Compared to me, who felt massive thanks to the muscles, scales, and carapace, his body was much slimmer. It was also clear that the left tail had a regular tail instead of a biological cannon, and that the carapace was thin because it had no tentacles. That appearance is similar to my appearance in the game. After its shape was fully formed, its body color changed to black like mine. The black carapace and scales were shiny with a purple sheen. Open corner bracket grr. The left head, which has acquired a new body, growls. The monster's tentacles were also not transplanted, as they could not share any supernatural traits. It's probably impossible to have a conversation like me. Then how do you control it? As I was looking, the left head came up to me and stuck out its tongue to lick me. Like a pet dog that wants to be loved by its owner. Imorph's cuteness. It was cute, but not what I wanted in the current situation. The moment I thought I had to push him away, the auxiliary organ under my chin tingled and rang. Then, a strange sensation that I had never experienced before took hold of me. I feel a two-headed imorph in front of me. At the same time, the left head is visible, shining softly with a purple luster. Two images are penetrating my mind like an insect seeing the world through compound eyes. Two bodies share a sense. There are two amorphs. At that time, a wave of thoughts flew from the door leading to the hallway. There stood the Mother of Heaven in the form of a griffin beast. The captivating amber eyes are filled with confusion and are looking towards the left head. It's a strange feeling. Along with seeing her with the head of the main body, I am also feeling her presence with another body. Since the left head has no eyes, it senses the other person with an auxiliary organ under the chin. It should be seen as similar to when entering the representational state of hunting. In other words, I, split in two, recognize the existence of the griffin beastman from two angles and two sense organs. This is the first time I have felt this unfamiliar since I became a morph. The person who made me feel fresh approaches Griffin Wolf. Now, wait, are you there? Open corner bracket grr. Then he opened his mouth, stuck out his long tongue, and licked her. The golden fur that covered her body stood up like a startled cat. Open corner bracket ellipsis dot close corner bracket. Zuzu, stop. Open corner bracket grr. Even without necessarily feeling like it was an auxiliary organ, it was easy to see that she really disliked it. When I gave the signal to stop, his tongue stopped licking the Mother of Heaven's head. Step back. I carefully moved my left head back, just as I did when I woke up as an imorph hatchling. Zuzu zuzuzu zuzuzu, I'm not used to it yet. Open corner bracket don't do this again. Zuzuzu, be careful. Open corner bracket I came to see what you were doing and this is what happened. Sky's mother soaked in imorph's spit. He sighed deeply and straightened his fur. It will probably take some time to get used to the new characteristics. A word from the author review, please take care of Zakuti. In the previous Fine Secret, one ghost nest was changed to Smog Tower, among the materials for synthesizing the new, formidable enemy mark. The strong enemy mark must use general characteristics as materials, but Ghost Nest requires nest-related fusion characteristics. Because it is C350. Open corner bracket that's the ability you gained by capturing Alshas. Yes. Open corner bracket grr. The Mother of Heaven looked with strange eyes at the left head that had taken over the new body. When I tried to answer her question, a sound came out of my main body's mouth and the mouth of the left head at the same time. Do you think your body is in sync? Does it feel like an artificial assistive body? Zuzuzu zzu zzu zuzuzu zuz, that expensive item, I don't know because I've never used it. It looks like it can move independently when it's not under your control. Aside from feeling bad about being drenched in saliva, she seemed quite intrigued by the sight of me moving two bodies at the same time. I have a vague sense of movement. Does it feel like the sensations felt when linking to the nest and commanding the parasite are combined into one? If I were to explain it in terms of human senses, it was similar to the feeling you get when you move your body right before waking up from a dream. Even though my body is still asleep, in my dream I wake up to go to school, go to the bathroom, and eat. I tried lifting the wing arm of the left head and moving the tail of the main body at the same time. It was awkward at first, but I quickly got used to it. I think I would have lost my mind if I had been in this situation when I was human. It looks like things will get more complicated here if there are two duplicates, but I'll have to experiment with that later. This is because there is a limit to the energy stored in the body. But how do you use the characteristics as a duplicate? Clones can use a total of 4 types of characteristics: body, special defense, internal organs, and environmental adaptation. I don't have to worry about traits like regenerative power as they will be activated automatically, but I'm not sure how complex traits like mimicry will work. It just worked out. Imorph is not affected by pheromones, so it is impossible to see what I look like. You can only tell what kind of object it has turned into by imitating its voice, which is a side effect of the mimicry organ. However, the Mother of Heaven is influenced by the pheromones emitted by the mimicry organ. Zuzu's, just a moment. I asked her to wait a moment and concentrated on letting the left head use its mimicry organ. I can feel the tiny pores all over the clone's body writhing. And the auxiliary organs of the main body detected the familiar lingering scent of pheromones. In that state, I opened the clone's mouth. How is it? How is it? Open corner bracket ellipsis dot close corner bracket. The same voice comes out of the main body and the mouth of the left head. It is the voice of Alshas, the last being I ate. How do I look? How do I look? It's creepy, so can you tell me just one person? I guess I really hate it because I see the tangled hair standing up again due to the sticky saliva. Instead of making a voice, I sent waves to the monster's tentacles attached to its main body. Zuzu 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 zuzu. I can't control it yet. How do I look now? Open corner bracket. They both look like Alshas. Zoo, really? Her amber eyes look far below my head. This is because their senses are disturbed by the mimicry organ and they perceive me as a human being. That's half the success. Now all that's left is. It takes on a different form. Using genetic essence. If you want to experiment, I hope you do it with other kids instead of me. There are a few more things left to check, but since they hate it so much, I'll have to do it later. I left the mimicked left head, and tacked and deactivated the mimicry organ of the main body. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu. I have some things left to check, so please ask later. Open corner bracket few. She sighed and shook her head at the reaction I made. We'll talk about that later. Doesn't the separated part hurt? The neck is empty. Zuzus. Zuzu. Zuzu. Zuzuzu. 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 It's okay. The awkwardness I felt after splitting went away quickly. I see. As she was looking at the neatly separated marks near her neck, she snapped her fingers as if an idea occurred to her. Now I remember why I came here. I have something to tell you. Zuzu, what? PS 111 says Isabel's tuning will take about 30 hours. 30 hours. It takes longer than expected. Although there is nothing that urgently needs to be resolved right now, I am not happy that Isabel remains incapacitated for a long period of time. Because another guy has to stay by his side to protect him. Heavenly Mother, who read my thoughts, continued. Open corner bracket. They say it's because it's difficult to fine-tune it with Gigacracker's facilities. Zuzuz zuzuzu 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 zuzuzu. That means if the facilities are good, it will be finished faster, right? Open corner bracket. Yes. Maybe. When I hear that, something comes to mind. 40 cold bloods aboard the Gigacracker. I thought about sending them to an ice planet ruled by odd-eyes hordes. And there's a Screamer support ship. With the help of Screamer production facilities, PS 111's work efficiency could be further improved. Zuz, Zuzu, Zuzu, Zuzuzu. There is one thing that comes to mind. Open corner bracket. On my way to the ice planet, I brought up the idea of letting the Coldblood slaves live with Galagon. Open corner bracket. This would never have happened in a game, but it seems possible here. Zuzuzu, right. Open corner bracket. The part to consider here is not Galagon, but the environment. Last time I was there, it was confirmed that oxygen was present. Although there are concerns about bacterial infection, cold blood is resistant to various viruses. She smoothed the tip of her beak with her finger, wondering if the ice planet was suitable for coldbloods to inhabit. The problem is temperature. Cold blood is vulnerable to low temperatures. They won't be able to withstand the cold underground. Zuzu zuzuzu zuzuzuzu zuzuzu zuzuzuzu. The area around the nest will be warm thanks to the river of sulfur, right? If they are healthy, they will endure as you say, but their current physical condition is it's not so good. It's hard to hold on until you recover your stamina. Zuzuzus, Zuzuzu, Zuzuzu, Zuzuzu. Trying to solve that problem by wearing reinforced clothing. Reinforced clothing. Ah, that's the reinforced suit from Gigacracker. Gigacracker is equipped with reinforced suits specialized for activities in outer space. If you wear it, you can avoid their temperature problems and bacterial infection problems. Of course, I can't wear it for the rest of my life, so I need to recover as quickly as possible. From there, it's up to them. My role ended with moving the Coldbloods to a safe place. Open corner bracket. I'll talk to them. Zuzu zuzuzuzu zuzuzu. I'll go to PS 111. After sending off the Heavenly Mother, I pointed the tip of the crown of the left head towards the main body. Should we try this while we're practicing? I'll have to go to PS 111 with the left head to see what happens when the distance between me and the clone increases. While the main body rested face down in the hangar, I crawled up the hallway while connected to the left head. Even as the distance grew, the feeling of foreignness did not change much. While slowly crawling toward the manufacturing plant, I tried a few experiments. What happens if you lose touch with the original while connected to a duplicate, and can you reconnect without contact? First, in the former case, consciousness returned to the main body as soon as the connection was disconnected. It was impossible to focus my consciousness only on the left head, instead of the main body. This seemed to be because even though it had its own identity, it was only a part of my body. In that state, as soon as I thought I wanted to control the left side of my head, my senses reconnected. The sensation was shared with the left head, along with a numb feeling as if the arm had been held tightly to prevent blood flow and then released again. Plus, there's one unexpected advantage. What's interesting is that even at the point when consciousness was separated, the left head voluntarily tried to carry out what I had tried to do. During the brief period of loss of consciousness, he continued to crawl up the hallway and try to get to the manufacturing plant. Maybe you two brains are smarter than you think. Although they show behavior that is close to instinct, they are beings that were born based on me, no matter what. Even when they are not under my control, they are likely to imitate my fighting style and strategies. Even if a situation arises that I cannot care about, I can inject orders in advance so that I can fight strategically. I'll have to do more experiments to be sure. In addition, how long the connection is maintained no matter how far away from the main body, how to use complex characteristics such as mimicry organs and human worm hosts, etc. There are many things to check. While moving through this simple experiment, we arrived at the manufacturing plant. Inside, PS-111 was using his long claws to touch Isabel, who was lying down. When fighting an enemy, the threatening claws that cut the opponent's body into pieces have now become delicate surgical tools. The boy's sharp fingers moved fluidly, as if a pianist was playing, and operated various mechanical devices. Around them, the MPS series were moving diligently, using their short metal legs to help their creator. The guy who was engrossed in work senses my presence and raises his head. The red camera lens that replaced the visual organ is pointed at me. 82% similar to the sub-controller. A morph. Who are you? It's a mauve. I gained new strength after feasting on Alshas. New strength. The guy tilted his head as if he didn't understand. It's similar to what you control by synchronizing with the MPS. It is very interesting to have created a terminal similar to the original in such a short period of time. If you allow us to collect skin samples, we can confirm that great progress will be made in MPS design. Jane is interesting in her own way, but I have things to do first. I have something to ask you more than that. What is? Heavenly Mother said it would take 30 hours for the attunement to be completed. Wouldn't it be possible to reduce the time further with equipment on the Screamer support ship? I briefly explained the conversation I had with Heavenly Mother. PS-111 listened to my story until the end and nodded. With the facilities of the Screamer support ship, coordination can be completed in less than 10 hours. Okay. Yes. We will stop coordinating for a while and start operating the Giga Cracker. Please. In the meantime, please check the condition of younger brother. As a guy who is half machine, he acts quickly once he decides on something. He left the manufacturing plant to start the ship with the mini screamers. Then here, Amov. The moment I thought I needed to experiment with human face bugs, I heard a voice from below. Isabel, who had wires and cables connected to her head, was looking up at me with her eyes open. Are you awake? I thought PS-111 would naturally be in a dormant state because it was busy tuning, but that wasn't the case. Thanks to the transplant of Coldblood's eyeballs, his eyes glowed the same blue as the sea. Perhaps by coincidence, she was the complete opposite of her twin sister, who had bright red mechanical eyes. The guy looked at me with his blue eyes and opened his mouth. You ate that body, Alshas. Okay. Looking at the reaction, my body changed, but I did not lose my ability to read the other person's information. I thought it might have something to do with the eyes, so I told PS-111 that at least the eyes should be transplanted, and fortunately, the answer was correct. This is the privilege I received when I came to this world, the heavenly eye of all beings. As the name suggests, you can only use it if you have eyes. As expected, it was a perk. It's funny to say this now, but I thought you would take it from me, even if it meant killing me. To be honest, I still have very little desire to do that. The perk of reading someone else's information is that attractive. However, I decided that it would be more beneficial for me if he stayed alive, so I made a different choice. Of course, you don't have to say exactly what you think. Your sister, PS-111 asked for it. Please save me. I just listened to his request. I knew it, but it's still different. He said to himself that he was impressed that I behaved differently in the game and in this world. Looking at it, it doesn't seem like there's much of a problem with conversation. Part of its long body was disassembled and its head was full of wires, but its mind seemed to be intact. Since there is still time left before arriving at the ice planet, it would be okay to ask the questions you wanted to ask here. You have the ability to read information, so you probably know more than others, right? Huh. If I can answer, I will. I asked Isabel, who nodded obediently, directly. The players have met so far, and even myself. As we all got closer to the ending, we all saw unusual visions. Do you know what this means? A fantasy secret that I kept wondering about because there were no clues. Among the rankers I've met so far, not a single one has given me a clear answer about fantasy. Is that why? The guy didn't answer my question right away. He just stared at me silently with his sapphire-like eyes. After a while, the small mouth of the silent guy opened and the answer to my question flowed out. What? And the answer was something I didn't expect. C351. Illusion brainwashes rankers. Huh. All the players I've seen have experienced a change in their way of thinking due to memory. When I heard about the vision from Alshas, I had a vague guess. What does it mean to kill the real self, or self in this world that appears in fantasy? I thought that perhaps fantasy was like a leash for strangers who came to this world. However, because there was no clear evidence, it remained only a hypothesis. The more I listen to Isabel, the closer I become to being sure of that. It looks like you didn't just see Cynthia and Alshas. That's right. When I was with Penelope and when I was under Cynthia's control, I met many rankers. And I also saw them change because of memory. I have also collected information about fantasy through various rankers. However, I don't know how things changed before and after seeing the vision. In the case of the Heavenly Mother, the level of deification rose once, but did not show any significant changes. My case is also an exceptional case. Still, it's surprising. Isabel knew something that I didn't know either. Even if you have the privilege of reading information, recognizing changes in yourself is a different matter. Recognizing that I was curious, the guy added an explanation. It was thanks to Penelope that I realized something was wrong with my memory. You found out thanks to 18th place. How? My sister and I had a good relationship. Until my sister became independent, we did everything together. Thanks to you, I was able to find out right away. The memory changes my sister's thoughts. Space survival is a game in which players from many countries participate. As a result, I understand that there are not many cases where players meet in real life and continue their relationship. At most, people from the same clan or country see each other once in a while. But Penelope and Isabel are exceptions. The two were twins in real life. If you are family and get along well, you will quickly notice changes in the other person. It was definitely something we experienced together, but she remembered it completely differently. Your memories have changed. Huh. After seeing the fantasy, my sister perceived life in the real world in a distorted form. I didn't do that before. After hearing those words, I could understand why she said memory, rather than fantasy. Why is it called brainwashing? For us whose bodies have completely changed, memory is the only means of sustaining our ego. The scars I suffered from falling when I was young, the relationships I formed with various people, including family and friends. There are absolutely no elements in this world that prove that I am me. Only the memory of living in reality defines my existence. What if memories are manipulated in that situation? In this world, elements of reality and memory cannot be contrasted. Therefore, it is impossible to prove that I am changing into another being. How much has Penelope changed? It is true that my sister originally liked this world, but every time she saw a fantasy, her obsession became more intense. Is that why you tried to save the cold-blood slaves even at the cost of your life? I know that Penelope, ranked 18th, is a ranker who has a particular love for space survival. Just like I was called Moffic, she was called Galagon Mania. Since she was like that, it was not strange for her to care about the safety of her people. It's just that the level is excessive. If you look at it that way, the goal of fantasy is not to completely change your personality and make you into a different person. Rather, it should be seen as closer to leading to a specific goal and a specific direction. As Isabel expressed it, it would be safe to call it brainwashing. But why? The problem is this part. What does it mean that the ego is semi-forcibly reversed as we get closer to the ending? Someone wants to change us. Maybe. What is the purpose? What do you want? I don't know either. But I think I know who did it. He must have been the one who dragged us into this world. Isabel nodded instead of answering. I don't think any of the players who joined Space Survival did so voluntarily. At least not among the players I've met. I also agreed to the email asking if I would participate in the beta service and woke up here. I don't remember anything about what happened in between. I understand that an unknown entity is trying to change us. But why do we see different visions? Some people become the me of this world, while others become the me of the real world and seem to be seeing illusions. Just based on the information I've collected, it seems like it affects life in the real world. Life in the real world. When I asked Jason, who became a human being, in reality he grew up in a bad family. In the case of the Mother of Heaven, we did not hear much about her, but it was clear that she had a very difficult life. Me too. How were you and your sister? When asked about how he lived in real life, he hesitated slightly before answering. You may have noticed when I talked about my sister earlier, but our lives were not that peaceful. It wouldn't have been easy for my sister and I to get through it without each other. Is it? When I entered her mental world, I already confirmed that the sisters had a good relationship. Their friendship seems to have become even stronger due to their special relationship as twins, plus their disadvantaged family environment. So, did you both see a vision in the form of cold blood? My sister said that. I would have done the same if I had continued to grow. What does that mean? After discussing with my sister, I decided to avoid getting too close to the ending. In order to reveal the secret of memory, one of the two must be in a healthy state. Huh. Then how did you summon the Ring of Agony? Just because you're cold blood doesn't mean you can summon Vortex 1 at any time. You must continue to make contracts and repay the price, so that you can borrow stronger power. The act of calling Vortex 1 directly is a contract equivalent to a higher level, if not the highest level. It is impossible to skip the previous step and summon it right away. Except for one way. Did Penelope make a tool to call Vortex 1? That's right. The curved sword I used to summon was made by my sister. Of course, I have to prepare the price myself for using it. If you become friendly with Vortex 1 through frequent contracts, you can imbue the tool with the power of the devil. Of course, it is very difficult to make, so it is not easy to make, and some tools break right away after being used a few times. The curved sword that summoned Vortex 1 will no longer be usable. Anyway, the sisters chose to avoid the fantasy brainwashing by having one of them give up on the ending. It is true that the twins' strength has weakened because of that, but it can't be helped. If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been clear about the dangers of fantasy. What proves the danger of fantasy is income. I wouldn't have been sure if it weren't for you guys. Huh. To summarize, there is someone who called the player. He wants us to move along a certain route. That's right. Then I guess the player's factions are going according to his intentions. At least the ruling faction and the returning faction share the same type of memory. Good. The problem is how to solve this. The story returned to the beginning again. The reason I aimed to ascend to heaven in the first place was to find out the secrets of the being who called me in this world. Even if I'm not a typical case, I don't know what will happen next. I did not kill my real self in fantasy. But I don't know what will happen when I see the illusion again later. Like other players, I can be consumed by illusions and become something I am not. But you can't just avoid it. In my case, I also see illusions when combining unique characteristics with a transcendental system. This means that if you try to avoid illusions, you will inevitably have to give up some part of evolution. But you can't. There are a lot of people targeting me right now. Those who aim for the ending will want to kill me, the only adult amorph, and those who seek to rule the universe will see me as a serious threat. You need strength to face your enemies. I think I should tell him the truth. If you are a guy who has encountered more rankers than me, he might be able to tell you something helpful. I told you when we first met. I only glimpsed memories of the past and didn't make any choices. I remember it like that. Actually, that was a lie. I did not kill the real me, nor did I kill the me in this world. The guy who heard me didn't seem to understand at first. After a while, my eyes widened as I realized I had made a choice not to kill my ego. Does that mean you avoided the brainwashing of memory? Well, I don't know that much. All I can say is that I made an unusual choice. Quote ellipsis dot quote. Among the people you saw, is there anyone who made the same choice as me? The guy thought for a moment and shook his head. No. I've seen people who put their choice on hold, but I've never seen anyone decide, I won't kill, like I'm off. Has any of those who withheld their choice experienced something like this? If the fantasy continues to appear in order to change the ego, I think it'll be okay. This is a question I asked the guy because I couldn't decide for myself. I thought it would be difficult to answer, but surprisingly, he answered quickly. As you may have guessed, beings who manipulate memories are not omnipotent. There is no way an omnipotent being would manipulate us in such a cumbersome way. Yes, we are using this method because there are limitations. So, I don't think a mob will be under as much pressure as before. You've made a choice, so don't put pressure on yourself and move on to the next step. Huh. It's very likely. Come to think of it, Alshaz also said something similar. Bom Ho, the leader of the returning faction, and number 4 said that they saw a fantasy about returning to reality and adapting. As the goal is to return, it can be seen that the fantasy stage has progressed. In the end, I'll find out for sure when I see the next vision. At this point, there is only one way for me to see the illusion. It's about raising the level of the space monster type. If you collect material properties to create 4 unique properties, you will advance to level 3. I had a vision when I went up to level 1 and 2, so level 3 should be the same. Anyway, even if it wasn't because of fantasy, I had to upgrade the type at some point. This is because I need to become strong to survive in a situation where both the ruling faction and the return faction are hostile to me. First, I have to create a unique characteristic that uses demon machines as materials. With this, the next goal has been decided. C352. There are countless creatures in the world of space survival. There are thousands of species of animals discovered and organized by players, and if you include things like plants and mushrooms, the number increases more than double. Outspacer is one of the few creatures among the numerous NPCs that turns out to be from another universe. The fact that the entire colony is under the command of a queen and that they prey on other creatures and apply their characteristics to the colony have different mechanisms from regular creatures because they are from a different universe. But if they were just foreign, they would never have fit in this universe. Outspacers, like regular creatures, prefer planets with abundant resources. This is because a colony can grow quickly only if it has a variety of organisms and the organic matter needed to create energy. Of course, most planets full of life have been conquered or are scheduled to be conquered by intelligent entities such as humans, cyborgs, or cults. If a nest is built in such a place, the colony is likely to be attacked by a punitive force and destroyed before it can grow. In that respect, the Outspacer Queen, who nested on the barren planet OW33 in the Z10 star system, can be said to be both lucky and unlucky. The planet he was born on is a place that escapes the gaze of the great powers, but that does not mean it has the conditions for growth. When an outspacer devours all of a planet's resources, it migrates to another habitat. If the planet cannot accumulate the energy needed for migration before it dies, the colony will collapse. The Queen of OW33 was also one of the individuals that died due to lack of resources. This would probably have been the case if she had not had superior intelligence than the other queens. Now, 40 years after his birth, he has become the Great King, leading the largest colony among outspacers. The being called Empress by the individuals and colony queens under her command is now in her hometown where she was born. What was once just an old planet on the outskirts is now polluted not only on the crust but also on the inside of the planet. The person responsible for polluting the planet was staying in the depths of the planet and having a conversation with an old colleague. How long on Earth should I wait? How long must we watch our compatriots die? A large computer looted from Star Union is embedded in the sticky membrane. Thin, long tentacles were sticking out from the surrounding mucous membrane, connecting the computer and the diamond-shaped tombstone. As the owner of the nest typed a message into the computer with his tentacle, the tombstone glowed red. Open corner bracket message arrived. Eventually, the other person's intention was delivered to him on a tombstone. Not much time left. That's what I said about the death of my compatriot last time. But look at the results. Didn't Olivia, who dedicated herself to your plan, also lose her life? The computer and the tombstone convey the Empress's anger to the opponent. The tombstone sparkled and then fell silent. After a while, the tombstone containing the other person's answer began to emit light again. The Empress became irritated after checking the message sent by the other person. Be patient. Patience. I have lived in this heterogeneous female body for a whopping 40 years. How much longer do we have to endure here? Message arrived. This guy is far beyond our expectations. The more his compatriots lose their lives, the stronger he will become, but do you still believe he can control it? I don't understand. Message arrived. Okay. You'll have to do your best. My patience has now reached its limit. Message arrived. Communication ended. When contact with the other person was lost, the tentacles connected to the tombstone and the computer separated. A tiger. The person I contacted just now was Byung-ho, the leader of the returnee faction. All the plans of the returning party came from his head. If everything goes according to plan, he can return to his hometown as he had hoped. The problem is that things aren't going as planned. 2 major mistakes have already occurred in recent years. Because of this, 2 precious compatriots lost their lives. Nevertheless, Bom Ho insisted that he did not deviate from the general framework of the plan. The death of a compatriot is unfortunate, but recovery is possible if the plan is completed. In fact, within the returning sect, there is no one who wishes to return to their hometown more than the Empress. Among the outspacers, the only entity the player can select is the Queen. The Empress was the only ranker who changed not only her race but also her gender. With the identity of a 34-year-old German man, he lived in this world as a monster queen for an additional 40 years. It is a bonus that we have produced so many objects so far. No matter how much a new body was created, the basic concept of the Queen as the mother of the Legion could not be removed. He had no intention of living like this until he died, so he put in a lot of effort to see the ending alone. If it weren't for Bom Ho who came to him 30 years ago, he would have attempted the ending a long time ago. Shit. But I never thought it would take this long. The Empress also knows that Bom Ho is right about having to be patient and wait. We also know that it will take a long time to achieve our plans. But before I knew it, the time I spent as the mother of a monster became longer than the time I spent in reality. His ego was strong, but no one knows how long that will last. You have to prepare for the ending now. Just as I was thinking about it, a red light came on again on the tombstone. I checked to see if it was a tiger, but it wasn't. Someone sent a message to everyone who had a communication stone. Who is it? Jason from the ruling faction has sent messages like that before. Of course, I didn't respond because I wasn't interested in receiving messages from a lowly 10th place person. But this time it couldn't be done. This is because the person who sent the message was so powerful that he could not be compared to the 10th place. 3rd place. CEO of Megacorp, one of the powers that dominate the universe. The head of a ruling faction that has built up a force as powerful as the Empress. Akira Eugene calls the rankers. Li Jiao. What are the experimental results of the JS prototype? The Mercury Weapons Research Base of the Carmelda family, one of the 7 families of Megacorp. At the family residence there, Chloe Carmelda was receiving a report from a researcher from another family. It's quite interesting. It has excellent combat power, flexibility, and adaptability to psychic power. Even in its ship state, it is expected to demonstrate strategic utility beyond Green Galagon. The new Screamer, made with new materials, is nearing completion. Chief Researcher Li Jiao, who led the Screamer development project with Chloe, is currently conducting the final experiment at the Jiao family colony. It's not bad. Still, it may not be completely omnipotent. What about the disadvantages? Open corner bracket combat intelligence is lower than that of the PS model. Because they lack learning ability, they are vulnerable to unexpected situations. To put it simply, they are dumber than the previous model, right? That's right. Chloe tapped the handle of the levitating chair with her index finger. She quickly gathered her thoughts and spoke to Li Jiao, who was created as a hologram. It worked out better. They also cited high autonomy as an imperfection. I'm glad I don't have to do anything to lower my intelligence. All right. Then, we will continue the experiment as is. Take care. Please send me the relevant files. Let's check it with Carmelda's simulation program. I already sent it. Okay. Oh, please tell Gaju Zhao thank you for lending him the testing room. Of course. Then, I will contact you again next time. The handsome yellow man lowered his head, and the hologram ended. When I heard that Cynthia had died, I wondered what I would do, but things turned out well. She hummed and pressed the buttons on the levitating chair. The files Li Jiao sent were linked to the computer in her room and played as holograms. Just as I was about to check the various graphs and data floating in the air, a red light flashed on the floor. When I turned my gaze, I saw a diamond-shaped tombstone with wires connected to it, with a light on. Is it Zubaka? She frowned when she checked the tombstone, wondering why he had contacted her when he always said he was busy. Keck, you are the old man, right? The person who called was Megacorp's CEO, Akira Eugene. There has been no contact with Akira since Jason's death. As she debated whether to ignore it or not, she activated the tombstone. Sir, it's been a while. I heard you're busy these days. What's going on? Oh, it's Chloe. Are you in a good mood? Why am I so busy playing with toys in Mercury, While she was speaking to Akira's tombstone in a fake voice, the other tombstones were activated one by one. Akira, I am busy. Please refrain from saying unnecessary things. Are you sure this tombstone is working properly? Are you there? Can you hear me? A dignified male voice and a frivolous young man's voice were heard from the two newly activated monuments. They were both people she knew. What? You're a kid with Zubaka, right? Who called you? I called Jubaka and Shino-kun. Chloe. Oh, Chloe. Long time no see. How many years has it been since this? 2 years. 3 years. In space, the sense of time becomes very blurred. Now that I think about it, I stopped by a certain planet a while ago. Hey, kid, shut up. Akira, why did you suddenly call the members? Don't be hasty. There are still more people to come in. As soon as those words were finished, a tombstone covered in dust rose into the air. Chloe was surprised when the tombstone, which had never lit up before, became active. What about that tombstone? How dare you call me? You have good guts too. 3rd place. Huh, it's been a while. 4th place. The last participant was the 4th outspacer ranker, the highest power of the returning faction that is hostile to the ruling faction. Thanks to my conversation with Isabel, I have a new goal. However, there is still work to be done, so we are currently on the planet where Oddai's group resides. This planet, nicknamed White Stone by the Galagons, is covered with a thick layer of ice that extends between tens and hundreds of kilometers. It looks like there is no life at all, but if you go down through the ice, a unique ecosystem unfolds. Under the frozen sky, there were plants that looked like mushrooms or rainbow grass enlarged to gigantic size. Animals that have adapted to life underground roam around near the plants. After passing through a wide community of underground plants, a long, split canyon appears. There are Galagons there, hidden by steam due to the acidic river that flows in the center of the canyon. Near the canyon, in a community of plants resembling oyster mushrooms. There, Adai introduced the newcomers to his compatriots. Open corner bracket cute dwarfs, open corner bracket eggs, open corner bracket protection, open corner bracket I will help you. Recognizing Adaj's ideology, 40 Coldbloods bowed to Ham Ort. The Coldbloods were all wearing reinforced megacorpon suits, so they were quite tall, but to Galagon, who was tens of meters tall, they still looked like dwarves. Ham Ort, a female with beautiful obsidian scales, looked down at the new visitors with cool eyes. Open corner bracket dwarf, open corner bracket plunder, open corner bracket everyone, open corner bracket must be killed. Open corner bracket rejection, open corner bracket cute dwarf, open corner bracket good. Open corner bracket dwarf, open corner bracket lie, open corner bracket capable, open corner bracket kingdom, open corner bracket dangerous, close corner bracket open corner bracket negative. Open corner bracket cute dwarf, close corner bracket open corner bracket family, open corner bracket, I swore to protect you. Family. Ham Ort's eyes turned to me. In response, I nodded to the purple eyes that shined like jewels. Open corner bracket dwarf, Adai's companion, open corner bracket baby. Open corner bracket no. Absolutely, open corner bracket no. Zuzuzus, it's my new friend's family. Ham Ort tilted his head and looked at me and Adai in turn. And he nodded as if he understood something. Open corner bracket Adai's companion, open corner bracket friend, open corner bracket kingdom, open corner bracket friend. Yes. Once the leader's representative, Ham Ort, accepted, there was no longer any concern that the Galagons would attack the Coldbloods carelessly. The Coldbloods lying on the ground rose carefully. The Mother of Heaven, transformed into a griffin beast, approached them and handed them a mechanical device the size of a shoulder bag. PS-111 is a translator created by analyzing Adai's school of thought. I taught you how to use it before, but if you don't remember, ask now. Friend of the Savior. We remember it perfectly. If there is a problem. The Heavenly Mother taught the Coldbloods what to do to survive in Galagan's lair. For 4 days after arriving here, we prepared for the Coldbloods to migrate safely. Strictly speaking, PS-111 did almost everything. While its main body took over Isabel's control, MPS-01, which remained to manage the planet, created equipment for Coldblood to use. Unlike the MPS-05, which specializes in communications and hacking, the MPS-01 is a mini screamer specialized in facility repair and modification. MPS-01, synchronized with the main body, repaired the damaged aircraft remaining on the screamer support ship and created a Galagon Thinker translator. Thanks to the diligent help of number 26 and I, it didn't take long and was over quickly. Isabel's tuning was also roughly finished. Everyone is so motivated, so I think you can rest assured. As I was thinking about setting off again for a new destination, Heavenly Mother approached me. Open corner bracket there is a communication problem, but Ham Ort said he would help with that, so I put it to rest. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, I wish I had more of your necklaces. Open corner bracket this. After hearing what I said, she pointed to the sapphire necklace around her neck. The necklace that Muriel attacked and forcibly put on her in the past is a necklace that does not exist in the game. Thanks to this, she was able to communicate in a thought-like manner like Galagon even when transformed into a divine beast. As you know, this is something that Muriel brought. If it's made by a player, it's probably difficult to mass produce. Zuzuzu, that's a pity. Maybe the guy who manages the equipment for that returning faction might have more. Zuzuzu, I hope so. The next destination in my head is Planet Osca 44, where the equipment manager of the returned sect is said to be hiding. You said it was a volcanic planet. Right. Coincidentally, there are some apex creatures that can be encountered on volcanic planets. It would be perfect to collect the characteristics while going to catch the returning faction's rancor. Zuzuzuzuzu, then shall we go back? Open corner bracket big adult, open corner bracket I, open corner bracket nest, open corner bracket I'll stop by. Zuzuzu, okay. A dodge left for the canyon with Ham Ort, perhaps intending to check on the nest's compatriots. After burning the cold bloods, I spread my wings wide. My huge body rises into the air. I could feel the strength coming from the hands of the coldbloods holding the scales on my back. The oldest, Coldblood, thanked me even though he was afraid. Great three-headed dragon, thank you for giving us sanctuary. Zuzuzu, yes. But can't you change that nickname? If you order, I will change it. Zuzuzu, just call me Imov. I will follow your orders. Great Amov. The embarrassing nickname whetted my appetite. The two heads on either side seemed to like the new nickname and stiffened their necks even as I was flying. Why? That sounds like a good nickname. Don't you like? The Great Three-Headed Dragon. A lot better than Morph Park. Zuzu, no, not at all. The griffin flying next to me with its wings wide open clicks its beak as if it is so excited to see me confused. Tisk. I have to quickly clean up and leave. With that in mind, I headed to the Screamer support ship with Heavenly Mother. C-353. Empress. You're calling an outspacer here. Akira, are you out of your mind? Wow, what? This is my first time seeing fourth place. Look, I'm sorry I killed a queen last time. I did it because I needed money, right? Fourth outspacer rancor, commonly known as Empress. It was an extremely arrogant nickname, but Chloe didn't think of it that way at all. The Empress is known to control approximately 80% of all outspacers. If he puts his mind to it, it won't be difficult to bring down the cult empire. She and Zubaka, who profit enormously from trade with the empire, will stop the Empress, but honestly, it will be difficult. Even if they are lucky and win, huge damage is expected. However, the reason the Empress does not go to war is because there are powerful beings in the ruling faction. I called Byung-ho too, but he didn't respond either. If I were you, would you respond when my enemy calls me? Well, he's like that too. While everyone was surprised, Akira Yujin, the leader of the ruling faction, chatted calmly with the Empress. Akira, you're calling a member of the returning faction instead of just us. What kind of trick is this? I'm sure it's not about merging factions, is it? I have absolutely no intention of going back to this shitty reality. Of course, Akira was the only one who showed a calm reaction here. Why suddenly the Empress? No way. Chloe suddenly remembered that there was an uproar in the cult empire not long ago. Burzin 02, one of the pillars of the empire's economy, was completely destroyed. The empire was controlling information for fear of confusion, but there was no one among the ruling faction's rankers who did not know that fact. However, what others knew and what Chloe knew were slightly different. Hehe, that's absurd. Why are you doing this when the situation has already tilted in this direction? Did you call me to criticize the air raid issue that happened not long ago? They say Burzin 02 flew away. Ha, there were a lot of good routes there. Ah. My head hurts thinking about that. The Carmelda family has several connections to the cult empire. Among them is the revolutionary faction, one of the two major factions in the imperial diet. Kissos, the leader of the innovation faction, died in Burzin 02. He wasn't killed by Outspacer or something. The spies who barely survived the catastrophic disaster all said the same thing. A giant three-headed creature destroyed his mansion. The person who destroyed Burzin 02 was the fifth ranker, Amov. Did you just call me for something like that? Are you trying to condemn me? No. It's not something you did anyway. What? What do you mean? Tisk. It's because everyone's information is so slow. The culprit of this incident is a morph. TCH. Chloe clicked her tongue slightly at Akira's words. The force that dominates Burzin O2 is the innovation faction. Chloe, who is closest to them, is bound to have an advantage in gathering information. However, the fact that Akira knows means that there is a hole somewhere in her spy network. You look like a damn old man. What? Aren't Amorphs extinct? Are you sure you're not talking about that Kusomov? Quote. I guess Shino-kun didn't know because he wasn't present at the time. Imorph also came to this world. It's because someone did something useless. Don't insult Byomho. Everything has been calculated and decided. I think I understand why you called us. Chloe and Zubaka were able to guess why Akira had called them, knowing that it was Amov's doing. Because something similar happened in the game. You're trying to issue an order to subdue Imov. Yes. Chloe. Number 5 was the most infamous player in space survival. People who have been playing the game for a while remember being hit by him at least once. As a result, there were often cases where several rankers and clans joined forces to hunt a morph. The rankers I am currently talking to have also participated in the Amov subjugation team several times. I can't stand seeing the garden being ruined by weeds. I've used tools in the meantime, but the results aren't very good. So, I plan to take this opportunity to sort things out with my own hands. I have nothing to do with whether you fight Imorph or not. I don't know if that's possible in the first place. That's a good point. 4th place. If I were alone, I might fail. But that's it. Akira paused for a moment and then continued. What if you help me? Young man. Akira. It ended up like this because of the trickery of the returning faction. Do you think that guy will follow? Zubaka. You have to say things accurately. This was not done by the returning party, but by Bomho on his own. Isn't it? Empress. The Empress's monument was silent in response to Akira's question. Probably because what he said is true. We are competing because we each have different desires, but isn't this case different? If we keep leaving him alone, I don't know how much damage it will cause. He is in Byomho's plans. Do you really think that the destruction of Burzin O2 was also his intention? I don't think so. He's human too. Empress. A weak and fragile human being. That's it. If Jung Bomho gets caught, I'll consider keeping him alive for a reasonable amount of time. What is it like? What is my suggestion? It was rare for Akira to politely suggest something to someone. If the other side's nickname is Empress, this side has a temperament that can be safely called a tyrant. At that time when everyone was holding their breath. What do you need? The monument of the returned ranker glowed quietly. Dash. The Durain star system to which Osca 44 belongs is presumed to refer to the star system where the red giant star, Olga, is located. Yes, that's right. That's what the sun looks like from that planet. Looking at the large star image printed on the frozen wall, Inyanchung quickly nodded. When the desired answer came from Alshaz, who had become a human being, PS111 turned to me. Considering the speed of Imorph, it is expected to take about 3 to 7 days to travel from here to the Durain star system. Zuzu's good. While PS111 turned off the hologram projection device in the situation room, I gestured to Alshaz. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, your role ends here. See, I hate it. I don't want to go back there. Please. Please don't send me away. Is it because they called me in after only a short period of time? Alshaz glowed. In fact, if you say it's glowing, you're just talking about it, and it doesn't mean anything because your body is getting closer to me. Jason was like this too, and he's like this too. Parasites like to stay in my body, and all of them react like this. Jason also made a fuss when it was first brought up, but has quieted down recently. But I have no intention of throwing it away. As with Jason, we plan to continue to have Alshaz as well. There is still a lot of useful information left in his head. See, I hate it. Finally, the insect went into the nest near my back and tail. And a mucous membrane formed on top of it, covering its entire body. He'll stay there until I call him. Zuzuzu's, what about Isabel? Little sister, is going out with the main controller and experimenting with her new body. I'll call you now. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, it's okay. I'll go and get him. Then I will check the Screamer support ship one last time before I leave. Last. Inspection. Last. Inspection. As PS-111 raised its large body, the small screamers below it repeated the same words. I left the Screamer support ship, leaving the guy doing his job. If you look at the support ship stuck in the ground like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you can see traces of repairs here and there at the bottom, that is, the front part of the ship stuck in the ice. To create a space for the Coldbloods to live, they tinkered with the minerals loaded on the Giga Cracker. I plan to stay there until my health recovers enough to adapt to the planet's environment. Near the support ship were aircraft repaired by PS-111. It is used by coldbloods staying inside the support ship to commute to Galligan's Nest or to obtain food and materials. The Mother of Heaven and the cold-bloods disembarked from the aircraft carrier, as if they had just gone somewhere. She took on the form of a beast and waved her hand slightly when she saw me, while the cold-bloods next to her bowed their heads deeply. I'll take care of it. I acknowledged them with a glance and focused on the auxiliary organ under the chin. The right side of my head detected a faint, familiar smell coming from some distance away. It was the smell of metal and blood. Are you still hunting? I kicked the ground and spread my wings at the same time. The ice beneath my feet cracked, and the ice powder on it flew out. As it flies by moving its wings, the temperature gradually becomes warmer. Looking down, mushroom-like plants begin to appear scattered across the barren field. And in the distance, a huge pink creature can be seen floating in the air. The being with a body in the form of a hemisphere covered with a lying ring and numerous tentacles and fins hanging down underneath was number 26. It floated through the atmosphere-filled underground world as if swimming in the sea. Next to the one swimming peacefully in the air was a new type of mutant screamer. Isabel was once a coldblood, but is now an artificial life form. If number 26 resembled a jellyfish, Isabel's appearance was closer to that of a snake or centipede. The guy with a long body and multiple arms was floating in the air, bending over and wrapping himself in a coil. In the middle, I saw Cavagoyle, a monster that looked like a combination of a bat and an ape, dead with its tongue sticking out. If you push harder, it will become stiff. You mean to relax your body? Isabel relaxed. After hearing the waves from No. 26. Cavagoyle's bones were all crushed and it started to flow out like liquid, so he quickly caught it with his many arms. Number 26, seeing this, waved its tentacles and made its body shine. Good job. You can eat now. Thank you. Number 26 stroked Isabel's head with a hand-shaped tentacle, just as I did. Isabel tried to slightly dodge her head as if it felt awkward to be praised by a pink jellyfish. Then he made eye contact with me. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, I was worried, but you seem to be doing well. Open corner bracket wow. It's a big baby. Only then did number 26 recognize me and approach me with its fins fluttering in the air. It changed its body into its usual pink balloon form and climbed on my head. Zuzuzuzuzuzu, has your body gotten used to it? The guy opened his mouth wide without answering my question. Like when a snake eats food, the jawbones separate and the mouth opens beyond the thickness of the body. From inside the mouth, two hooked teeth, similar to the chelicerae of a spider, protruded outward. In that state, it swallowed Cavagoyle whole, which it was holding on to with its many arms. Multiple hands and hooked teeth protruding from the mouth quickly pushed the prey inside. Isabel, who quickly stuffed a 3-meter-sized piece of food into her stomach, spoke calmly. As you can see, Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, Heavenly Mother expected it would take a while to get used to it. Phew. It's a body that my sister worked hard to create. How can you say that? No, rather than being calm, I should say it's closer to giving up. Looking at the way she speaks with a small sigh, I don't think she particularly likes her current body. If you talk to PS-111, he'll fix it. It may be a bit disappointing, but it's not impossible to make him a little more humane. Well, there's no need to tell me. I don't want to spend time reorganizing here again. Anyway, the current body is much more advantageous in combat and survival than the human body. I like the look, too. Even the current appearance was attractive in its own way by my standards. It felt completely different from my sister, as I felt an alluring and homogeneous beauty, like looking at a snake with beautiful scales. The guy didn't seem to like his body, but it was good enough for my standards. Isabel used the arm near her head to push the hooked teeth sticking out of her mouth inside. Since most of its body is covered with metal, it has a cooler appearance than PS-111, but it was quite ironic to see it look so awkward. How should I express it? It was similar to the feeling of a girl pretending to be an adult to hide her immaturity. If you say that, I'll get angry, so I'll have to stay quiet. Thanks to my sister's ability to adjust her sense of taste, I have no trouble eating. Zuzuzuzuzu, I think so. Ah, it's quite convenient to be able to fly like this. It flew around, shaking its body like a sea snake swimming. Flight was very natural as there were no special propellants or parts for flight. I didn't know there was such an effect on Vortex One's body. Isabel, whose main material is the body of the Ring of Agony, was able to fly while ignoring the laws of physics. Like number 26, who gained the ability to fly by eating meat. Although it is impossible to fly at incredible speeds like Adaya or the Heavenly Mother, it is still only slightly faster than the Green Galagon. It is quite helpful during battle. Seeing as I'm off as here, I guess it's time to leave. Open corner bracket little friend, where are we going? Zuzuzu 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 zuzuzu, this time we're going to a warm place. Open corner bracket a warm place. Is it fun? Yes. I don't know if it's actually fun or not, but it looks like a pretty interesting place. Planet Osca 44 is a planet I have never been to. Just like the ice planet where Galagon's nest was before. I've been to many volcanic planets themselves. It may not be much different from what I expected, but you have to see it for yourself to know. I went back to the support ship with the guys. A few hours later, Adai and Heavenly Mother also returned. After completing all preparations, we departed for the Durain star system where the red giant star is located. A point of light passes through outer space deeper than the deep sea. The identity of the light was a Megacorp Mountain medium-sized mining ship. The ship, which had an elongated oval hull, had a large capture crane at the rear. The crane was firmly holding a huge rock mass as large as the ship. The core of mineral procurement in Megacorp is the Saint K family, but that does not mean that there are no private mining ships. Recently, for unknown reasons, the Saint K family stopped operating Gigacracker, and demand for private mining ships has increased significantly. The owner of the mining ship in question, Jin Chen, a middle capital from Weisung, was also someone who jumped into the mining storm that had been blowing some time ago. Currently he was pounding on a small pad in the ship's old captain's cabin. Let's see. How much is this compared to the district's publicly announced price? Oh is 1, 2. He calculated the price of the minerals he mined and widened his eyes when he saw the amount displayed on the pad. F. 8, 9. Ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha hey 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 hey. I'm rich. You're rich. If you are a middle capital, you are a high tier in a megacorp, but that also depends on the planet. Jin Chen, who spent his entire life working in the back office of Prime Capital in Weisung, always dreamed of a better life. And not long ago, an opportunity came to him. When the Civil War ended and a recession hit Megacorp, a colleague told him a secret. Mineral prices are unusual these days, so buy a mining ship in advance. As soon as Jin Chen finished work, he ran to Hamshan Market, as if he was possessed by something that day. And in addition to all the credit I had earned, I took out debt and bought a used mining boat. What? Are you calling me crazy? Well, who is really crazy? Profits are inherently lonely. Everyone said I was crazy, but look at this number written on the pad. There was an amount stamped on it that was more than twice the amount of credit he had earned in his entire life. If you round trip the same route 2 more times, your debt will be completely eliminated. With this, we can raise initial funds, and invest the rest again, Kiki. While I was grinning from my happy dream, a light came on at the top of the pad. What? It was a communication from the situation room. Jin Chen pressed the light on the pad with his finger. Captain, there's a ship in the same star system. Ship. Where do you belong? I do not know. I think you should come and see it. He was startled when he heard that it was an unknown ship. In the vast ocean-like universe, there is nothing more fearsome than an unknown ship. After answering that he understood, he quickly ran to the situation room. When I arrived at the situation room, the atmosphere was quite chaotic. The sailors who were tapping on their computers saluted in an awkward pose when he came in. He asked the navigation team leader, a balding middle-aged man. Sailing team leader, where is the ship? It's quite a distance away from here and isn't moving. Is that a boat? Once we see the radio signal detected, it looks like the ship is right. Or are you mining another planet? There are no planets nearby that are worth mining. Jin Chen sighed a little when he saw the sailing team leader speaking in a hesitant and timid manner. Since I used up all my credit to buy a mining ship, I had no choice but to hire crew members at a low price. Most of the crew members had less than a year of experience on board, or, like Jin Chen, jumped in to grab a share. Fortunately, the navigation team leader was selected as someone with some experience, and there was a reason why the hiring cost was low. Keep an eye on it and when it comes this way. Captain. Is that thing moving? What? As the sailor operated the computer, a star system map appeared as a hologram in the center of the situation room. Jin Chen's mining ship was in the center of the hologram, and a small triangle-shaped marker flashed in the distance. The mark was approaching the central mining ship. Upon seeing this, Jin Chen felt his blood turn cold. The pirates who had been hiding for hunting discovered their prey and revealed themselves. C354. In Megacorp, piracy is treated as a very low-quality crime. It is inevitable that space dogs are a group of people who commit crimes such as human trafficking, murder, and smuggling. The damage they inflict on Megacorp is by no means small. As a result, not only piracy but even cooperation with pirates was rarely forgiven. While working for Prime Capital, Jin Chen had seen colleagues who had been caught dealing with pirates and were reduced to employees several times. Fuck it. Everyone prepare for battle. That captain. This ship only has laser weapons. Shit. So you're going to give the pirates some ass. No matter what happens, you have to fight. It's difficult for our armed forces to last even an hour. If you resist for no reason, you may become even more miserable. Jin Chen could barely suppress the urge to hit the sailing team leader's shiny head. As he said, there aren't that many weapons on this ship. The only personal firearm he had was a laser rifle, and the only protective equipment he used was a mid-level reinforced suit. However, it was not easy to escape. If it were a newer model, it would be possible to sail at faster than light speed while holding minerals with a capture crane, but this ship does not have such a function. Fuck you bastard. I heard there are no pirates in this star system. I took a safe route that a colleague told me about, but I had no idea something like this would happen. I felt a rush of regret later, but it was already too late. The sign of a pirate ship getting closer. I had a chance to become rich, but I couldn't die here. Can you communicate with that ship? It's possible. Jin Chen recalled the stories of his friend who was active in the black market. He said non-rare minerals were unpopular items on the black market. This is because transportation is difficult, but the price is not that expensive. If what my friend said is true, those pirates wouldn't attack this mining ship carelessly. Unless you're a fool, you wouldn't risk losing money to take minerals that aren't that expensive. Of course, this ship's armament is poor, but the pirates don't know that. If you do well, you will be able to get over it with minimal damage. Communication established. At that time, a square screen was displayed in the center of the star map hologram. Inside was a grim-looking man with a mechanical device embedded in his face. How dare you send a message to our Shinoroku cartel first? Are you the leader? Okay. I am the leader of the Shinoroku cartel. Jin Chen swallowed his saliva at the scary-looking cyborg pirate. The pirate asked him while holding an electronic cigarette containing synthetic drugs in his mouth. If there is a word going, there must be a word coming. What's your name? I'm Jin Chen. The owner of this ship. That's it. If you don't want to lose, give everything you have. This ship is a mining ship. All there is minerals. There is nothing to take from the Shinoroku cartel. All of these Amacorp bastards have to see blood to come to their senses. Hey, everyone, get ready for docking. Behind the leader, pirates with equally scary looks can be seen holding weapons and moving around. Jin Chen saw that and hurriedly continued speaking. Wait, this ship has many skilled fighters on board. So, if it's a little late, the sword won't go into the belt. Combatants wearing reinforced suits are waiting. Even if we lose, our losses will be significant. Instead of responding to Jin Chen's bravado, the pirate leader took a deep breath of his cigarette. He asked, blowing smoke out of his mouth. Well, I'll listen to your suggestion. How much can I give you? I will give you 10% of the minerals I have. Guys, the captain wants to fight. Prepare to attack. No, 30%. Everyone stop. Hey, did you say Jin Chen? Is it really okay for you to be so small-minded as the owner of the boat? Then how much do you want? Open corner bracket 70%. If it's 70%, I'll just send it to you. When the pirate asked for more than half, Jin Chen almost swore. That Nimral pirate bastard is real. However, I could only curse a lot on the inside and remain calm on the outside. Even if they ask us to give up all the minerals in the first place, we have to accept it. If you get out after passing 70%, you should consider yourself fortunate. Joe, that's good. I'll hand over the minerals. Captain, a new signal has been discovered. What is this? It seems that not only they, but also others, discovered something. The pirate leader's eyes turned elsewhere. Meanwhile, Jin Chen also checked the newly appeared mark on the star map. A square-shaped marker was approaching them at a faster speed than a pirate ship. This is under the jurisdiction of the Shinoroku cartel. What is this guy? I thought it was another pirate, but seeing the pirate leader's confused look made me think it wasn't the case. Are you guys trying to catch us? Oh, no. That ship is one we don't even know about. You bastards. Everyone fights. Just as the enraged pirate leader was about to launch his attack, the communication ended. Not only that, the lights in the situation room suddenly blinked and the hologram shook uneasily. Why are you doing this? An unexpected radio interference phenomenon has occurred. Why all of a sudden? We are also good at that. I forced myself to sigh at the crew's incompetent response. Jin Chen suppressed his rising irritation and stared at the shaking hologram. And I discovered something strange. The square marker that was there just a moment ago has disappeared from the map. Where did the square mark go? As soon as I spoke, the lights in the situation room suddenly turned off. Eventually, the emergency power was activated and a red light came on in the situation room. What happened? Well, we don't know either. Damn it. If you don't know, you have to find it. Yes, yep. Jin Chen shouted and urged, and only then did the crew move. Sailing team leader, please take command for a moment. Yes. Ignoring the astonished looks pouring in from around him, he came out of the situation room. The situation is unusual. I felt like I could calm down only if I wore the mid-level reinforced suit in the captain's office. He quickly returned to the captain's office and put on his reinforced suit. The metallic sound that came out whenever the reinforced exoskeleton moved and the electronic sound that the activated mechanical pad made gave him a sense of stability. As I was about to leave the captain's office with even the laser rifle, the entire ship suddenly shook violently. It was a shock I had never experienced since boarding a mining ship. And that wasn't the only problem. As the ship rocked, loud noises were heard. The mining ship must have hit something. Situation room. Is there anything wrong there? Situation room. I tried to contact the situation room, but the communication machine was completely dead. Is this the work of pirates? It was clear that they had attacked the mining ship. He injected the strengthening agent built into the strengthening suit into his body. I knew there were side effects when injecting the strengthening fluid, but it was better than dying. After completing all preparations, Jin Chen headed to the situation room. The hallway lit with red emergency lights was very gloomy. It felt like a lie to say that I was used to running until a little while ago. Why is it so quiet? If pirates entered the ship, it would be normal to make loud noises, but the hallways were quiet. Even as a Hulk mutant, it would be impossible to annihilate the crew in such a short period of time. What's going on? After communication with the pirates was lost, the whole situation eluded his understanding. The more he walked, the more beads of sweat flowed down his neck. Fortunately, nothing happened until we arrived in front of the situation room. He saw the situation room door closed in front of him. As Jin Chen approached the door to open it, he suddenly felt something strange. How could there be no one coming and going from the situation room when the ship was so shocked? Plus this silence. It was absolutely not normal. He cautiously put his ear to the door. This is to check what sounds are coming from inside. Quote exclamation mark quote. The moment he put his ear to the door, he was startled. I wasn't panicking because of the cold coming from the alloy wall. This is because I heard sounds that should not have been heard inside the situation room. That very small sound was clearly a scream. Fuck. Fuck. Something unknown has entered the situation room and is doing terrible things. When he realized this, he immediately turned his back and ran to the other side of the situation room. As I ran wearing heavy reinforced clothing, the hallway rang loudly. The sound of the door opening and air escaping was heard in his ear. Something in the situation room must have heard his footsteps and came out. A strange sound was heard from behind, as if several sharp objects were clawing at the alloy wall. And the sticky, wet smell of iron stung his nose. Oh, don't come. He chose to run away instead of using the laser rifle in his hand. Thanks to the strengthening medication he was given, he was able to run very fast. The eerie metallic sound mixed with the thumping footsteps gradually quieted down. We must escape on an escape ship. There was a high chance of being captured by pirates if he escaped on an escape ship, but he didn't care. It is much better to be captured by a pirate you can understand than to face an incomprehensible entity. Fuck, 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 fuck. Jin Chen mechanically cursed and continued running toward the escape ship. When there was only a short distance left to the escape line, a group of people appeared in front of him. Shit. The face of the one standing at the forefront among them looked familiar. It was the pirate leader who had been talking via video communication just a moment ago. There was no doubt that Jin Chen had infiltrated the mining ship while wearing a reinforced suit. The pirates were saying something while holding the crew of the mining ship. It was a given that he would have to fight if he encountered them, so he quickly hid behind the wall at the crossroads. While I was hiding in Watching, there was something strange about the atmosphere. It was hard to see because it was far away and dark, but the crew didn't seem too afraid. Rather, the pirates holding them seemed more urgent. At that time, Jin Chen's eyes caught a strange object. Behind the pirate at the back of the group was a pair of arms that I had not seen before. Those slender arms, stained red by the light of the emergency lights, grabbed the pirate like a lover hugging him. And very quietly, they dragged him into the darkness. It was so quick and quiet that the other pirates didn't even notice that their comrade was gone. It was a scene similar to the ghost stories the flight attendants sometimes tell. I couldn't believe it even when I saw it with my own eyes. When the thin, smooth arm of the woman shot out again and snatched up one more pirate. Jin Chen realized that what he was seeing was not a ghost story, but reality. Also, he was not the only one who witnessed his subordinate disappear under suspicious hands. The pirates also realized that their comrades had disappeared and began to be wary of their surroundings. When the third victim came out in the same way, the weapons the pirates were holding burst into flames. Thanks to the flashing green light, Jin Chen was able to see what was in the darkness. A snake, with dozens of arms, was attached to the ceiling, floating in the air. The guy did not avoid the attacks coming at him, but instead took the hit and easily caught the pirates. As the arm dragged the pirates, the head of the snake, hidden in the darkness, was revealed for a moment. It was the face of an incredibly beautiful woman. The pirates who were struggling while being held by his arms stopped resisting as soon as they saw his face. However, the moment the beauty opened her mouth, the pirates woke up from their fantasy. This is because the mouth stretched out like a snake and swallowed the pirate whole. Wow. Fuck. I followed you here. Everyone run away. Even pirates who have experienced countless hardships would have never seen a scene like that. A snake with the face and arms of a woman swallowing its companion alive. Jin Chen thought he should run away, but his legs wouldn't move. My body froze in extreme fear. And I'm glad that my little brother has adapted better than expected. A woman's voice coming from behind. There were no women on board Jinshan's mining ship, so it was easy to imagine who that voice belonged to. The part about choosing food is disappointing. The smell he smelled in the situation room lingers on the back of his neck. Jin Chen stopped thinking. C-355. There's not as much as I thought, huh? I grabbed the pirate ship, which had been cut in half, and shook it, as if shaking off the remaining snacks in the bag. The pirates remaining inside poured out into the weightless space. Regardless of whether they were alive or dead, they all entered my three-parted mouth. Tisk. Perhaps because of its size, dozens of pirates can't even get through it. The heads on the left and right also licked the corners of their mouths with their tongues, as if they were not satisfied. Open corner bracket big adult, open corner bracket glutton, open corner bracket glutton. Oddeye, who was in a good mood after catching and eating a pirate, walked around near me and made fun of me. Open corner bracket you can't make fun of a big baby. Open corner bracket gorgeous, open corner bracket fact. Number 26, who was being held in the small arms near his chest, seemed to not like Odai's attitude, so he created tentacles from his body. And then he hit the little Galagon on the head. No, I tried to hit him. Adani moved nimbly and avoided the tentacles, so the attack was ineffective. Open corner bracket little adult, open corner bracket attack, open corner bracket prediction, open corner bracket easy, open corner bracket now, open corner bracket not right. Open corner bracket really, open corner bracket question mark close corner bracket. Open corner bracket really, wait a minute, a bit, it's a lot. It's okay because small babies avoid it well. That's disgusting. Number 26, now in battle mode, slipped out of my arms and started chasing after Odai. I left the two of them playing together and robbed the ship to see if there were any pirates left. At that time, the Mother of Heaven emerged from another wreckage. In her griffin form, she flew towards me with her agate-colored wings spread. Open corner bracket I found something strange while organizing. Zuzuzu's strange thing. She showed me what she was holding in her beak. Between 60 centimeters and 70 centimeters in length, a thin and elongated design in a rectangular shape, a green rail on the front, a small terminal pad mounted on the top, and finally a small trigger and shoulder rest. They all matched the characteristics of the objects I had seen so many times while playing games. Plasma rifle. By definition, the history of plasma weapons is the history of lightweighting and stabilization. Plasma weapons, developed for the purpose of space warfare between ships, had tremendous firepower, but also had many drawbacks. Because of its large size and high energy consumption, it was difficult to handle unless it was a military spacecraft. Afterwards, after continuous research, the size of plasma weapons gradually decreased. The results of successful size improvements were the plasma launcher, plasma bolter, and pistol. However, if we consider them to be a complete success, there are some subtle aspects. First of all, bolters are difficult to use without wearing reinforced clothing due to their weight and recoil. Plasma pistols have poor safety and their production cost is extremely high. In the case of the launcher, it is out of the question since it was originally developed as a squad support weapon. However, there is one plasma weapon that completely improves these shortcomings. That is the weapon that the Heavenly Mother showed me, the plasma rifle. It is a perfect weapon that receives passing marks in terms of weight, firepower, and safety. The firepower is greater than that of a bolter, and there is almost no recoil. It is also light enough that a trained soldier can carry it for a long period of time. It is also safe and is made of rare metal, so it is not easily damaged even after long-term use. However, due to the high production costs and the high level of technology required for production, only the top megacorp players can make them in the game. This is not particularly strange since it is a weapon classified as the highest tech in the system. Also, in the game, the plasma rifle was set as a weapon used only on Earth and Mars. This is because the Seven Families, concerned about leakage of manufacturing technology, strictly control its use only on designated planets. But why is it here? Zuzuzu. Pirates have plasma rifles. Open corner bracket yes. Not all, but one person was holding it. Of course, thanks to the game's ability to trade between players, it was easy to see mercenaries armed with plasma rifles everywhere. But that's a story in the game. If I were a high-ranking member of Megacorp, I would somehow try to prevent the shipment of the plasma rifle. Zuzu. These guys robbed the ship of the solar system. Open corner bracket no way. You wouldn't know it if they had thousands of battleships, but it's absolutely impossible at their level. Zuzu, but they don't even look like they're from Earth. Maybe they're pirates related to the player. As she inferred, in fact, in the current situation, it is rather unnatural to think that these pirates have no relationship with the player. However, there are some ambiguous parts. For those holding precious weapons, they are too weak. Among the rankers who have fought so far, none have issued plasma rifles to their subordinates. Looking at that, it probably means that it is not as easy to use a rifle as it is in the game. It was clearly suspicious that these low-level pirates were carrying weapons that even rankers could not easily obtain. Besides, this isn't a particularly important star system. There are no particularly rare resources here, and it does not have any significant military value. The reason we stopped while traveling at faster than light speed was to grab snacks. Considering that we didn't meet any other ships on the way here, it was hard to believe that it was a star system controlled by pirates. I'll have to ask the kids too. While I was attacking the pirate ship, a few pirates crossed over to the mining ship. There might be one among them with a plasma rifle. I bit into the outer wall of the mining ship with my 3 mouths. He tore off the solid outer wall and stuck his head inside. The moment I was about to scatter the waves with the monster's tentacles, with my head down in the hallway, a long figure appeared from the other side of the hallway lit with red emergency lights. It was Isabel, a being with a long snake-like body and dozens of arms. The guy had the pirate in his mouth and was about to swallow it when his eyes met mine. One of several hands was seen holding a plasma rifle. Zuzu, there was a plasma rifle here too. The guy who heard me spit out the cyborg pirate he was holding. The unconscious man was in a state of complete disrepair even though he was wearing a reinforced suit. The guy who picked up the food he had spit out approached me. I took it just in case. I guess there was a pirate ship over there too. Zuzu, are you okay? I got hit once or twice, but I'm okay. The guy floating in the air rotated his body gracefully. There were scorch marks on the chrome scales covering its body, but they were not seriously damaged. Is it because they used the Ring of Anguish as a material? It's pretty sturdy. I was hit by a plasma rifle, but the damage was only moderate, so I don't think you need to worry too much. Zuzu, is there anything else besides this? In response to my question, the guy shook his head to the side. Then he lifted the pirate in his hand. This guy was holding a rifle. I think he's the boss. Zuzu, really? That's good news. With my head out, I inserted my fighting arm into the hole I had drilled in the mining ship. A strengthened parasite emerged from a hole in the arm and moved toward its new home. After a while, the parasite that had completed its move sent a wave to me. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, I'm sorry, but please interrogate me for me. Since I am quite large, it is not easy to interrogate pirates in outer space. After leaving it to Mother Heaven, I looked again at the wreckage of the pirate ship floating here and there. I wonder if there's anything unusual about it. We had already confirmed before the attack that the pirate ship was poorly armed. As expected, nothing unusual was found. Wait, there's nothing. At that moment, the characteristics of Space Dog came to mind. Pirates usually paint their ships with the cartel's unique mark. This is because it is necessary to avoid fights between pirates. However, there was no cartel mark visible on this ship. Did it get erased when I broke it? Even small debris was checked, but there was no trace of paint on the exterior wall. They have plasma rifles and don't even have pirate marks. I don't know what they're doing, but I think we need to get out of here quickly. At that moment, the parasite on the head of the pirate leader sent me a signal. After finishing the interrogation, Mother of Heaven, Isabel, and PS-111 escaped through the hole I made. Zuzu, what happened? Open corner bracket. I think it has something to do with the players. Zuzu. It probably has something to do with where we are going, right? They say there are no Space Dog rankers in the Return sect, so that's probably not true. Oh, and look at this. When she nodded, Isabel came up to my head and held out a small piece of cloth she was holding in her hand. The piece of cloth that looked like an insignia had the Pirate Cartel Mark I was looking for drawn on it. But there's something strange about Mark's appearance. Their mark was not a picture but letters. Zuzu, isn't this Japanese? That's right. Japanese on the front, Chinese on the back. The leader said he was the leader of the Shinoroku cartel. Speaking of Japanese, there is a player that comes to mind. This is Akira Eugene, a megacorp ranker with an arrogant and vicious personality. Is it related to third place? The composition of their cartel is a bit unusual. Unlike regular pirates, they formed an alliance. When I asked, a total of 6 cartels were united. Zuzuzu. Is that why the number 6 is in the name? Yes. The leader said he received this weapon from cartel number 1. According to the information I heard from Jason before, the third person is the head of the Eugene family. He may have used the power of the head of the family to organize pirates and provide them with weapons. The person who organized the cartel must also be a ranker. In order to control pirates who love betrayal, there must be a ranker. Space Dog Ranker, who cooperates with Akira, is leading them. Zuzu, what is their purpose? Open corner bracket I asked, but there is no special purpose. Steadily looting a designated area using weapons. That's it. Zuzu, what about other cartels? They say they move independently and don't know what they do on a daily basis. There is almost no interaction other than regular contact. The pirate leader, whose weapons were only better than his skills, did not know much. Because of this, it was not revealed what their true purpose was. Still, I'm glad we found it before we got hit. Just knowing in advance that the ruling faction is plotting something is a blessing in disguise. Zuzu, we can't get caught that we met with them. Open corner bracket we already destroyed the ship, what are we going to do? Zuzu, there's a new ship over there, too. You can just move it too. The most important person, the leader, is still alive, and the 2 plasma rifles are also intact. Additionally, there are still crew members remaining inside the mining ship. That's because I called PS-111 and Isabel while they were organizing the personnel. If you plant parasites on the crew of a mining ship and disguise them as pirates, you will be able to avoid their pursuit. Once you have decided on your thoughts, the next step is action. My kids and I worked together to find the crew members inside the mining ship and infect them with parasites. Among the survivors, there were some who were not infected, but were left alone. Since their numbers are small and all escape ships have been destroyed, there is nothing they can do. After finishing everything, I instructed the parasites to follow their designated route and move as they had done before. Even if I go far away, the parasites follow my orders to the end. Humans go far. The pirate ship became smaller and smaller, leaving number 26 innocently waving its tentacles behind. Good. When I encounter pirates in the future, I will ask them if they know anything about the cartel alliance. Since pirate alliances aren't common, there must be someone who knows. After sending the pirates away,
I set off on a faster-than-light voyage with the kids on board. My body, wrapped in blue energy, transcends light and even space. The stars and darkness in my field of vision are mixed together like different paints. It's an amazingly beautiful sight, but if you look at it in vain, you'll be in trouble. Every second my body passes through the stars. You must continue to pay attention to your jumping route in order to arrive at your target location safely. How much time has passed? The swirl of brilliant stars subsided and a red glow filled its place. An aging star was emitting its last light in the darkness of space. The name of the red giant star, which boasts an overwhelming size compared to the sun, is Olga. The returned sect's weapons management ranker is hiding on one of the planets under the light of that old sun.